The stream has started. Ads should be starting in just a second.
You think it's a jungle night? I think it's a jungle night.
I love me
though.
some jungle nights.
Ever since I did my first couple casts without sound, I just always have music playing. And like jungle or like the 2-hour D&B mix on YouTube are just always the best. Can you play ads? Can you play ads?
He is around.
He's just ghosting you.
And we are live. I think it's just a couple of us in the chat right now. I'll let a few people stream in before we go ahead and introduce ourselves, Halfling, and sort of set the stage for this game.
I'll run ads during the first few games, sir. Please don't run the ads during the game's CLT.
Run them during the spectator delay. But he knows the drill. He's done this a billion times.
He's a professional.
CLT's the GOAT. He's the old man GOAT.
Is he? There's always like... They've always had like a goat. If you're a goat, you have like a goat status activity. You've done something, right? There's like an infamous play or a moment. Does CLT have that at all?
Yeah, it's called being CLT.
It's called the crown next to his name in the server.
CLT is the GOAT because he's CLT, and he's CLT because he's the GOAT.
I see.
It's just, I don't know how to better explain it.
You know, sometimes oh my god, ambiguity. There we go. This is gonna be a good night. Sometimes ambiguity is the best method.
Ain't that the truth? We've got a few people streaming into the chat now. I'm gonna go ahead and do some quick introductions for us at the stage. I'll remind everyone as the series goes on what the stakes are here. But for now, I'd like to quickly introduce myself and my co-caster. I'm Cyanic Acid here of Halfling, to cast the lower bracket finals between If the Worm Wiggles and MN Misfits. These two teams have played against each other more than any other two teams this season. The team that wins here will go on to face against Caster Curse in the finals. The team that loses will unfortunately see an end to their playoff run. So it is do or die for both of these teams.
Yeah, you can't raise the stakes anymore at this moment. You're in the lower bracket. It's just end of the road. The bag of tricks has to get opened. You have to really spend everything that you've got. And you mentioned these two teams kind of have their own separate play styles, which has allowed them to have very distinct methods to winning. And not only that, but they've also just been able to have a very competitive series. You mentioned they've played against each other multiple times, gotten the best of each other. Total series going 1-1, of course. The 5-game series more recently going over to the side of the Misfits. But that just leaves a chip on your shoulder for the Worms, and kind of popping into the draft already going underway. Just some standard bans. You're seeing the Zillion, which is more of a targeted pick, but 80 carries just disappearing left and right.
Yeah, and this is to be expected because Misfits' strength is in Lolcats in their bot lane, whereas Worm's weakness is generally in their bot lane. And they are targeting these two roles for essentially opposite reasons. If the Worm wants to remove these powerful AD carries that Misfits has been having a lot of success on, Misfits wants to force V7 off of Comfort, and we see the Ashe first pick.
Yeah, and if you're trying to remove someone who's more good at neutralizing lane states, these are some bans I do expect. Caitlyn a little bit out of left field, but Ashe really does put Worms in a weird spot where do you want to try and separate from the Seraphine? Ashe without the Seraphine definitely feels like the worst of the two, so they are going to elect into that. Take that Seraphine away, they've got a couple extra options they could do. They could elect to pick that Mages that you said Misfits don't necessarily like to do, but the Worms do. I don't know how I feel about Mages with Seraphine specifically. I feel like you put so much damage into bursting that you do want something a little more traditional. Now, I don't know about traditional. Vayne's definitely not one of those, and it doesn't have the greatest matchup on paper into Ash. So this is definitely just throwing down the gauntlet here in game one.
Well, I got some good news for you then, Halfling, because that is definitely not going bottom. And before you assume that they just blinded Vayne top, this has been played by Marth in the mid lane. So this is a flex going both ways.
Oh, every time I come on the stream, I'm surprised.
Welcome to Herald League.
Something new. Yeah, welcome to Herald League, it seems. And keeping that up, it's Blitzcrank coming on through. Always an X factor that you want to have. Hook can just be the great equalizer. You can be 6,000k gold down at 25 minutes, and you just hit one hook on that squishy, and it's all gone. It's evaporated. So I don't mind the pick, but it does require a lot of proficiency from the Misfits bot side specifically. You need to play around this Blitzcrank. You need to play around the hooks, and you have to have a lot of trust in your support. Sejuani, typically in the jungle role with the Blitzcrank, you're wanting something aggressive to push that Blitzcrank forward, get those vision lines up, and have someone that can properly escort him, like that J4 Worms picked. Sejuani, on the other hand, not bad at doing that. Damage fine, CC fine, tanking fine, but isn't really that big threat that you as a jungler, if you're walking in, you see two people show up, you see Sejuani Blitzcrank, like you're scared, but you're not dead unless there's three people there.
Yeah, I think Misfits has given themselves a good core here, but with Sejuani especially, you really want to see a strong bruiser up in the top lane. If you have a melee mid lane option as well, like Diana, that's not going to be a bad matchup for you. You can look for that sort of an angle. We see Worm removing Echo. I think that would have been another good melee mid lane option to pair with the Sejuani, to pair with the Ashe Blitzcrank pick potential. Let's see what bands Misfits want. Renekton against Call the Meek is to be expected.
Second, just sending a message. There we go. Yeah, the Renekton already off on the table. Tom Gench leaving, so looking like they're just trying to target around some different of the more comfort top laners by the looks of it. You mentioned Worm's top lane is definitely one of their stronger aspects, so you just want to make sure that there's nothing that can also equalize in the top lane. Tom Gench created that. Renekton, decent at that, a good takeaway. I really think of like my Orans, my Malphites, my I guess I wanted to say Set, but I don't think I want to say Set this game. Cassante, there we go. That's a better equalizer, like Juggernaut.
And you're almost guaranteed blinding top here as Misfits, so that's probably what you're going to need to do.
Mm-hmm. And you keep mentioning, and it keeps ringing, that Vayne flex continues to ring true as they have that Victor coming on through. A two position flex with that mid and 80 carry. So you have the Vayne that can flex in all three lanes. You have the Victor that can flex there too. So you're looking down the barrel of a very confusing draft from Worms here. But this is a precarious position for them as well. Their team comp, I wouldn't say is the most coordinated. They have a great fundamental comp going on with the Jarvan, the Victor, and the Seraphine. But Vayne kind of seems a little out of place at this moment and is that X factor pick that you want to put at the right position in the right matchup. And then you could also screw your Victor doing that. So it's a lot of like questions going into this pick 5. But for Misfits, Vigar is just a great way to stop dive. You're able to isolate this Jarvan, you're able to isolate this Vayne in key and crucial moments. You just don't have the burst right now. And Vigar can be that burst, but it's not going to be that burst early on. You're going to be waiting for 2 items, you're going to be waiting for 250 stacks. So Ornn, still not helping with that burst. It's a very beefy front line from the Misfits here, and not a lot of damage coming through. Worms, they kind of have the pick of the litter right now. They could pick anything they want to deal with the Ornn specifically. I wouldn't even mind like an Olaf top right now from them. That would work phenomenally against this Misfits build.
I definitely want to see Kol'Thamiq on some kind of a carry. Ambessa certainly is a carry. I think it's safe to say that this is going to be... from what I know of these players, I guess we're going to wait for confirmation, but this is probably going to be Vayne mid, Victor bottom, and Bessa top, from what I've seen these players run in the past. And we are seeing Misfits in chat even ask for confirmation.
Where? Not for real. They can see Vayne mid. That's crazy.
Yep, that it is crazy, but it's not crazy if you know these players and know their tendencies. These are just sort of the best champions for what they have locked in. Kol'Thamiq has had a lot of success on Ambessa. Marth has a lot of success on Vayne. And I know, even though he hasn't played it before, I know V7 can play the Victor, and he is not a Vayne player.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play Vayne. Even though I was a Vayne player, I wouldn't want to play Vayne into Ashe Blitzcrank. So it's completely understandable for it to go mid lane. It's just in a very weird spot against this Vigar. Baby Cage from the Vigar is very, very good at cutting up pockets of the lane and forcing the Vayne to just fight you in a situation. Now, that can go pretty badly. You can get just very quickly tumbled into Condemn comboed, 3 hits from 1 extra auto from the Silver Bolts, and you're just able to get chunked out. But you get your stacks as the Vygar. You go tankier, you go that standard Roa build, you go that standard Seraphs as well. You get tankier, you kind of put off a little bit of your damage. You'll be comfortable in that lane. But that's kind of the problem with the Misfits comp, is typically a Vygar has the flexibility to do that, but not in this case. You really do need damage from this Vygar. You need damage from this Ashe. So a lot of focus needs to come down to these this mid and bot lane specifically to get them ahead as possible. As fast as possible.
I'm going to be looking a lot at Souls and what he can do to sort of escalate Worm's leads in the early game. Because I think if this game goes late, goes 5-6 items, gets to, real end game, you're not punching through Misfits. Yeah, Vayne shreds this front line, but Vayne shouldn't have the room to shred this front line. There isn't really a proper front to back to set the Vayne up. You have the Enchanter and the Seraphine, you have sort of an engaged tool in the Jarvan, but it's not going to be enough once you get to these late game scenarios. You really want to get the game so accelerated as Worm that this Ornn doesn't get to be tanky. This Vigor doesn't get to be stacked. This Ashe doesn't hit 100% crit. That's what you need to make happen. But you have given yourself the tools to do that. It's just a question of whether they can.
Yeah, and I don't even mind a more scaling focused game. Really the big concern at like that super late game situation is going to come down to how Vygar and Mbessa specifically interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
How is Soka on this Vygar going to be able to cut up the space so that way the Mbessa just can't roam freely, can't dash through freely, has to really be conscious of how they use public execution for that very short cooldown event horizon that comes down that stuns you up. So then that puts pressure on the Vayne, but the Vayne's always going to have pressure on her. She's always a premier target for the Blitzcrank, always a premier target for the Sejuani, always a premier target for the Ashe. I think even in mid lane, I wouldn't be surprised with a cleanse pickup for a summoner spell specifically. If not, very greedy, very confident, and almost a required Mikhail's game for the Seraphine for a champion she's probably not going to even be running around with.
Yeah,
and that puts a lot of kind of weird tendencies in people's minds and how they move around the map.
I think something worth noting is there's no bad hook target for Blitzcrank. There are better hook targets for sure. I think Jarvan's probably the worst one, but Jarvan's never going to be a true tank. If you catch him out enough, you can just hook him in and burst him down. And the same can be said for all 5 members on the side of Worm. So that is something that they're going to need to be cautious of. I suspect that the best way for them to approach objectives is going to be in groups so that they can try to push vision in, because if you're walking blind into Blitzcrank hooks, into that level of crowd control, you're never even going to get the chance to flash out.
You won't be given the opportunity. But if that target is that Jarvan, like you mentioned, or Mbessa, there's a chance they might not get bursted at all either. That would mean the Vygar has to burn absolutely everything just to find one kill onto either of these kind of tankier but not tanks from the side of Worm. So it shouldn't be a complete end of fight. And I think another hook target you might want to try and avoid is Seraphine. In the later stage of the game, Seraphine can make it through the full hook pull, and what she can do is she can buffer her ultimate Encore and just get a free 4-man ultimate every single time consistently. That's something that you'll see a lot of the higher elo Seraphines that seem to struggle to actually position in fights. They'll just rely on that kind of a play and be able to kind of make up some of the difference that their positioning has. So watch for that, as well as this Blitzcrank. It just means that there's a lot of little mind games going on in your head. But that's always the case of Blitzcrank. Games are always about Blitzcrank when he's present.
Yep. I realize I'm basically just talking for the benefit of any replay watchers at this point, because we do have ads running. But
yeah, W ads.
I do think, despite the effectiveness a Blitzcrank hook has in a vacuum, as a whole, he feels a little out of place with this team, because you want Blitzcrank to create pick potential, right? To find people to instantly kill them. In the early half of the draft, when you had the Ashe and the Sejuani, you had the follow-up crowd control, or you had the initial crowd control, Ashe, Arrow, or Sejuani all to set up for a Blitzcrank hook. But you haven't really rounded out enough damage, especially in the early game, to get these execute kills. If you find that Jarvan in the early game and you get a hook on him, and you can have both your damage dealers, Ashe Veigar, there's no guarantee that like an Ashe Veigar at level 5 is going to kill this Jarvan off a Blitzcrank hook.
Not at all. Especially if like it's a tunneler on the reset. Just a little bit of extra HP will be enough, or even if you're able to rush tier 2 boots specifically just to live through anything. It's a pretty big Marks game coming in from any of the champions on the side of Worm. So see if they pick up those boots. Anyone who played with Sid Caps are either not a tank support, because there's no tank support in the game for Worm. So in short, no one should be picking up plated steel caps on the side of Worm. I really don't expect to see that, and that puts a lot of takes a lot of the difficulty of builds away from the side of Worm. You don't have to really debate about your boots. You don't have to think about it, and it just kind of gives you one direct correct decision, especially for the Vayne. Picked up the cleanse also here for Victor, so 2 cleanses already for Worm, and so they'll be a little more comfortable against the Ashe. They got some people that can face tank that arrow in the later stage of the game, but it's still a 50-second cooldown there at rank 3, so it'll be really quick, and we haven't seen this in a long time.
Yep, the ads have dropped off just in time to see a full man invade here.
Crank.
Calico got left sleeping at the wheel. Do you avoid the Blitzcrank hook? You do not. The flash is down. That's a first blood kill going over to Lolcats. That is not the start that you wanted if you're Worm.
No, the only little bit of win that you can say is, Veigar burned TP, but they already positioned the Ornn top side. Sejuani's going to be a couple seconds behind on her camps, but I'm going to keep it real. When is a Sejuani ever actually even with any jungler in the modern meta? She's always going to be behind the camp. She's always going to have to find creative angles, and hey, that's a way to do it. You got the crank, you got some bot lane sleeping in the first game. That's really only going to work one game, but any advantage is better than none.
Yeah. In a matchup like this, where both teams have gone the distance, regular season full 3 games, last time they've met in playoffs full 5 games, putting yourself on the front foot in game 1 and trying to set that momentum for yourself is definitely the way that you want to go.
Sorry. I got water, sorry. Gotta stay hydrated. It's hot outside.
Record heat wave. And this is going to become prime target for repeat gank. I expect how I met my AD carry on this Sejuani to do a full clear up to the top side and then just reset. I think ganking your Ornn is never really a good use of your time. And just come back here now that both flashes are down on this bot lane. This is an early mid gank.
It's never going to go well when you're trying to gank a Vayne just because of Condemn.
Yeah.
You don't really have the option to make it work, and you give Call to Meek time here with that pressure topside. Yeah, they know exactly this is going to be warded, but it's just guaranteed information now for Souls. They're already ahead on camps. You can see them starting their 6th camp on this clear, finishing up that red buff at a pretty good pace right now. And Wallyford is just in no space to answer a top grab right now, so I do understand for how I met my ADC just reset. Try and make it to bot crab at this point is going to be the way I put it, because even though, yeah, they got the flashes bot side, that's a great stun from Soka.
That's a lot of damage. Is there a flash to follow up? Doesn't even need it. Clearly, Veigar is the superior auto attack champion.
Ooh, that was so dry. I get it, though.
This is another aggressive trade over in the top lane. Call the Meek just kind of... We're seeing a lot of kills go over without summoner spells being burned.
Hey, it's game 1 shenanigans. Everyone's figuring out their damage numbers. It's been a couple hours since you last played. Wanted to make sure you had your food, grabbed everything you needed. So you took that break, and some players got a little cold, and you can see that here already showing up on the map, though. Map goes 1 for 1. Still 500 gold advantage over towards the side of the Misfits, and really that is just manifesting entirely in this lead, mid lane and bot lane. And that's the 2 members we mentioned that we want to see in advantage. This is the damage for Misfits. These are the people that you need to be able to burst off these pick examples, but already, yeah, they've got a gold advantage, but positioning in the wave, the way that their HP bars are, the mana that they have, really doesn't translate that lead that exists.
Yeah, and what I say at the start of the cast, this is typically Worms top side versus Misfits bot side, and that is a bit of the story that we are seeing. The early gold lead going over the Lolcats in the bottom, the early gold lead going over the Call of the Meek over in the top, and we're seeing the mid lane go the way of Sokka Senior, which was sort of the X factor. Both of these mid laners exist to support the remaining players on their team to set themselves up and round out the comps. So if your mid lane is winning in this sort of X Factor situation, maybe that ends up being the tide turner. We see another return gank. Marth still has his flash. Just sidesteps the W from Sejuani. There's the flash. Finally used to get out of that Vigor cage. Avoid the Blitzcrank hook. Good roam from Skizzy Barnes, Mr. President himself. I'm going to be turning you up.
Lose for Marth.
I'm told that you're kind of quiet.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Sound will be a continuous thing that gets messed with. So the work in progress will eventually be done. It'll be a beautiful house at the end. Ahsoka's just going for lethal. My goodness. Ahsoka's got the damage to find that.
Blinked to turn you up on the volume, and Sokka's just dead.
It's just too many. The complete underestimation of the damage coming out from Ahsoka. I mentioned buy that HP, sustain and survive through these earlier trades. I can't say what I want to say, but that's not at all what Ahsoka's gone for. They've gone for this blasting one, and they've just continued to hammer away, finding these baleful strikes, finding these Qs in perfect order alongside minions. So they're stacking phenomenally, probably already at like 30 or 40 stacks at this moment. And 2 kills on the board for a Vygar is going to be a very comfortable position for Misfits. They can kind of let a little off the gas mid lane specifically, and now how my ADC can turn their entire attention towards bot side. They got about a minute left on this flash.
Yep. First dragon of the game has spawned. Doesn't look like any aggressive movements have been made towards it yet, but we see a lane gank from Hamamayadi carry. Once again, flashes bot lane. V7 is getting run down. The hook pulls him back through. They're going to donate the kill over the Lolcats. Can they? They do. A little bit of return damage over Calico, but that is the bot lane gank. Should be turning into a dragon here, I'd expect.
And they got the cleanse. On top of that, V7 cleansed the knockup, unfortunately. So just a little early on the stun. You can't cleanse the knockup, can't cleanse the hook. And Lolcats doesn't have the stun, so just a little quick with it, which will be great later on. But for now, an unfortunate summoner spell use. And now how my ADC has another cooldown they can burn mid lane. It's putting a little pressure here onto Souls looking mid lane, but pink worded up here for Ahsoka. They've got baby.
We got a gank. The Cataclysm gets used. Sokka Senior does not have flash. He's just in there. He gets condemned up against the wall. You have to believe one more auto should do it, and that is another kill going over the Marth. Getting some revenge gold back.
Yeah, so close, but some revenge gold that does feel just as good as any old gold. So they're going to be very happy to have that one. And it's a good cross-map play. You see the jungler, you punish that, especially off of Souls, already taking the entirety of the top side quadrant here for How I Met My ADC. So it's just, double plus good, as some people say. It's a great situation, turning better for the jungler specifically, for the mid laner specifically from Worms. But, you're looking at your Victor and your Seraphine are kind of crying in the club right now, and Call of the Meek is really, really praying that they get some sort of assistance here, just because this is one of the few situations where an Ornn is diveable. The J4 was in a position that they could just show up and wait 20 seconds, and you could just take this Ornn out of the game, whereas Vayne was already starting to crawl back a little bit in lane, has that Vamp Scepter now, so is able to sustain it a little bit through these trades, has Cleanse, so they're not very scared of the event horizon, so they were safe, but a gank is a gank. You can't be mad about a great result there. And the combo with Cataclysm Condemn is really strong, so it's just a guaranteed play rather than the risk that exists for ganking top.
And just a little note on their mechanical ability, kind of highlighting that they know how to pilot this combination. As soon as Marth dropped the Condemn inside the Cataclysm, Souls dropped the Cataclysm, because that Condemn took it outside of Marth's auto attack range, but the stun had landed. You didn't need that Cataclysm any longer for the crowd control. By dropping it, he allowed Marth to get back in there instead of just zoning his own mid laner off. But now we see a Hex Flash hook from Skizzy Barnes. There's going to be a lot of damage going on to V7. Not quite a kill, but a very healthy trade going in Lolcat's favor.
It's just enough to establish and remind that you have to be scared of these bushes. You've got the Sejuani moving bot side. No wards either to catch her. Dragon's up as well, so you want to make this play. You want to try and abuse that there's no...
Flash is up, but it doesn't even matter. The hook goes through, you get knocked up and killed before the flash can even be used. Calico's ult does go down, but it's too little too late. The burst was too high.
You don't even need the Sejuani there at that point. That's just another great gank coming in. And hold up, Marth wants the smoke. The Jarvan's going to cross topside, and they've spotted as well. They've traded these objectives here. Topside going towards Worms, bot side going towards Misfits at this moment. And now you want to see an expanded play, specifically from Souls. Once again, Wallyford, not very gankable on this Ornn, but getting very, very close to that state. And if you could just find a trade with him far out and away, or just burn the flash, I think you'll be in a good state.
And we've been here before in Worms games, as it does look like they are looking for the little grubbies here. Marth does get caught inside the cage, eats the Vigor ult, but that is the only ability that lands. Marth gets his vibe, public execution goes wide, and for his flash, Sokka walks away.
Just walking on away. Those trades are getting kind of worrying that Marth wants to opt into those without popping Final Hour. I think it's one of the more stronger survivability tools you'll have on Vayne in this matchup. And Souls has finally moved on their way towards topside, but it's already started out on a ward. Wallyford's going to be safe, dropping farm, understanding that their position is just let this Ashe and let this Vigard carry me. Let them get me across the finish line. I just need to front line to make sure that the Victor and the Vayne doesn't have complete access, and V7 is caught again. Oh man.
Skizzy is making so much happen down this bot lane. Worms bot laners cannot hold their flashes for more than a minute before Skizzy gets them burned. And now, once again, we're in a situation where Misfits bot lane is ahead. Both flashes are down, and you have to believe that Hamema 80 carry is going to do a repeat gank down here. I must correct myself real quick. Calico's flash is still up. The flash we just saw burned was V7's, who never even got a chance to use it in the earlier gank because he got bursted down too quickly.
It's very difficult to exist against a Blitzcrank, especially a Blitzcrank that has an Ashe that it just has free, unfettered access to wave. Your Seraphine's already too scared to walk up, doesn't have the ability to trade back any meaningful damage, and yeah, Call of Meek's gonna get ran down is gonna run down Wallyford at this moment, and that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles here in top lane. But
yeah,
I do kind of agree that this full commit here towards like Sunfire, it's just gonna kind of be a net negative. Just the tankiness is going to be nice, but you don't really need wave clear. You're already getting pushed in. You've already got good enough wave clear if you know the full combo is Ornn to clear waves. So
what
not
I'm
quite
kind
sure
of
if we need Sunfire, but it's okay.
Is that this isn't the Sunfire. I'm kind of hoping this is Bombies just to help with the wave clear, and then going into an round. We see a full-on fight go down over here. Skizzy Barnes used his flash earlier. Did not have it here for this fight. Catalysm goes down, burning a lot of flashes. Lolcat's getting run down by Marth. Only had that AD carry still alive, full health into the turret. He should be walking away. Oh! Sokka just disconnected? Pause?
Pause, champ? Pop stun, no one chase, just
they are typing Vigor DC in the chat, and yet they aren't pausing. I guess they're gonna...
must have come back so quick.
Oh, yeah, I'm seeing the R's.
Pause got eaten by the buffer.
Yeah, it is. That's weird.
Nice.
I've never seen that before.
But that's like a very, very good disconnect. So
nope, I was wrong. It's a full Sunfire.
Yeah, it's a full Sunfire, so, like, it's nice. It feels good, but I also am not really a fan of this item because stalls your team fight potential, specifically as the Ornn. You're going to struggle to have a lot of impact outside of your CC, and you're going to struggle to have sustain that Unending Despair can provide, and as well as like the actual just insane wave clear that any other item provides. But I'm not too mad about it. It's not great.
Some advice for people out there. As Call of goes for a very aggressive trade over here on Walford. Does he want more? He is still chasing him down. Besides the turret's just a little too scary. Uh-oh. He draws the turret aggro. He's just going to get bonked to death. That was a little ambitious. You had to know you were going to get hit by 2 turret shots on the way out there.
And you had Eclipse on reset, too. You're just overextending. You're not being super cognizant of every decision you have, of every thing that you can do. You just want to be able to make sure that you can finish off this play. I want to get this kill. You've been wanting to get it for so long. You've already gotten one up on the Ornn. You want to keep that pressure going, but you just need to take a breath. You've got this call. You've got a farm advantage, or you had a farm advantage that was substantial. You had an XP advantage that was substantial, but just based off of like a risky 50-50, you've cut that off to nothing. Skizzy,
he fits the hook.
It's never 50-50.
V7 just panic cleanses, so he doesn't have it for the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but Lolcats does die inside the Stagnant Victor ult. 1 for 1 on the bot laners.
Yeah, Arcane Storm's just scary. regardless of what items a Victor has, that ultimate's just going to be doing enough damage. So it's very, very difficult to manage it. But it's the nature of the champion. It's why you run it. You can see also Leandri's second kind of getting worked on. Could be a Riftmaker from V7, but I assume it's going to be double burn coming in from the Victor and just being able to cut through. Look at that front line. Blitzcrank Vigar is going to have HP. Sejuani stacks HP. Ornn stacks HP. It's a phenomenal double burn game. You're going to have great utility at a BFT as well. And typically it's an item that I really like to criticize, but
I'm going to move the camera
great,
here.
the
I don't need
great.
to.
It feels nice.
Because the second dragon of the map has spawned. The first one did go to Misfits, and it does seem like both teams are moving around here trying to get priority of the river. We do have Worm with first move, but the dragon has been started up. 4 members on this already. How my AD carry is looking. Just hovering around. Skizzy Barnes is right behind him. Half health, no flash.
Here comes.
Sokka's behind. He looks for a cage. The cage does fall onto V7, but there is no follow-up. Smite secured by Souls. He wants to follow up. Does go down onto Hamab AD carry. Backline access from Call the Meek. He's going for Lolcats. Doesn't care about the Blitzcrank. Knows his team's got it. Can he get it? The barrier gets used. Does he have another ability? He's getting slowed into the turret, but he has the cooldowns. That is 3 for nothing plus the dragon.
Oh yeah. It was a great play here coming in from the works. A good TP from Call to me. I'm not really sure why Wallyford isn't trying to search out the enemy top laner. Something that you should always be cognizant of as a top laner. That T is, does my opponent have TP? Do they have TP advantage? If they do, you do just kind of need to sacrifice yourself and look for it. Try and stop that TP as best as possible, because if they're able to just tip the scales with that extra body to throw at the fight, you're not going to have any success. These plates feel empty that you're collecting topside. So it's an unfortunate case. It's a great flank from Call the Meek, and Souls picking up that Smite at the very last second.
Yeah. Hey, hold up. Long Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto V7 under the turret. The tower does go down. You no longer have that backup. Finally, V7's crowd control chain ends, and he has the flash to give himself the room to breathe. First turret also going over to Worm.
But no flash if they try and contest to Herald here, but it looks like it's going to be Wallyford and how my ADC just getting corralled around their blue side. They want to try and make a play while they have the numbers. Called Meek showing it up.
Big catapults are being used. Flash down from Wallyford. Trying to hold his own under his turret. Call the Meek dealing some damage in return, but now Sokka's the target for Worm. Uses the blast code to give himself some distance. Skizzy Barnes is roamed up here. They are walking out into the river. This is not quite disengaged yet as the Event Horizon gets used. The Cleanse gets used as well, but Martha's just bounce house. It's just sold. Flags and drags out. Flash is giving himself some space, and he will leave with his life, but Marth does not.
A big difference maker between good and great teams is your commitment to the idea. And you could see Misfits there just committing to the idea. They understood, we want to fight for this Herald. We need to fight for this Herald to win. Now, Call the Meek also gets it. They need to be able to finish out this play. They need to force and gut check Misfits if they want this.
Call the Meek is looking. We got teleport being used by Wallyford. Call the Meek went in. He uses public execution down onto Skizzy Barnes, but he's in the middle of the entire enemy team with the smallest shred of health. Calico does buy him some time, and he's still alive. One more dash and get him out of there. Call the Meek is still alive. The Herald is secured by Misfits. A lot of fancy movement for no one to die and the Herald to go over to the team that started it anyway.
Not a bad play, all things considered, from Call the Meek. It's a good idea to gut check that, for sure. You want to make sure that they have... Do you have the damage? Do you have the HP to survive this? How much burst can I get on through before something actually happens? So, like, all that's great and good and dandy, but still, Herald getting picked up from Misfits puts them in an even more comfortable spot. They're able to sit back. They have this Herald also we've been seeing more often now as a battle option, as an engage option. Wallyford, though, might get engaged on your top side, but Soul's just going to elect not to do it. And each and every single time Souls hangs around for one of these ganks, they're spending that template they've earned from farming faster and trying to convert that into something else. And every time it's not working out here, they've tried about like 4 or 5 times here topside. Only 2 have actually been able to convert into something. That's given how I met my ADC some extra time to catch up with the jungle. You're looking at Skizzy typically being there first on the roams, just kind of being the victim in a lot of these situations. That's the nature of Blitzcrank, man. It's the job. I captain. I hit my hook. I die. It's kind of the goal. So the deaths are a little fake there, but I'm a little worried about this Ashe. Lolcat's got to 4-1 and has just not been able to have the impact that we're looking for often enough here. And Wallyford's still getting random by Call Me. That tower's really low. I don't know if this is very real, man. You have to fight in front of this like this.
But there's no way Walliford can hold this though. The second he's losing the extended fight here in the lane. Colomeek's probably just gonna walk up and one-shot this turret the second this next wave crashes.
Right? How are you gonna show?
But High Med Made Carry doesn't even want to let him do that. Does go wide. The public execution does land the buffer. This is 20 ult, but I don't know if he has the damage to get anything followed up onto it. Walliford barely dies as Colomeek dives under the turret. 1 for 1. You hold the turret, but you have given up control of this river to your opposing team 30 seconds before the dragon spawns. Hold up, Sokka Senior is now the target. He does have a verdant barrier, gets popped with the Jarvan W. He's just gonna get run down by Marth. I don't think anything else is gonna happen here. I'm not sure that Cataclysm had to be used, but just to let him know that there was never a world where he was gonna get out of that.
Not a word you can get out of that easily, but still at this moment, they can try and threaten this mid tower. They can force a weird play and a weird positioning from the side of Worms, try and make them hastily get to this place. Souls, no Cataclysm, no final hour here for Marth. This could be an evened up fight with the ult economy and where Walliford is in terms of just respawning at this moment. Both top laners are going to have to run back to lane, so it'll be a 44 even for a second. But Sokka has TP advantage over Marth, so they can stall this here for just about 15 more seconds as possible. That's forcing Worms here to rush this down.
High Med carries in the pit. It's a 50-50, or do they kill him 15. First? It goes down, it goes over to Souls. Now High Med carry, can he get out? He just gets CC chained into the ground. Went for the 50-50, but it does not go his way.
Doesn't go his way. Doesn't.
We're getting Baron pings.
It's possible. You have the Vayne with a lot of DPS. You've taken down the jungler, but once again, you have to look at the ultimate. Cataclysm coming in a couple seconds. They have Arcane Storm, but no
Hook lands on the Colomeek. He's just getting auto-attacked by the Lolcats. This could be kind of dangerous for him. This is an Ashe. That is a lot of damage. Just not a kill, but at that health point, it's going to be hard for Colomeek to be effective in a fight. But we do see the Baron started. Already have health. Let's get rid of this scoreboard.
Mine's on bot side.
There we go. They were hovering around here, but there is no jungler on the side of Misfits, so you have to believe this is going to go their way. Hook does land onto Marv. He gets immediately bursted by the Primordial Burst. Colomeek is now getting backline access. Lolcats is next to go down. Skizzy Barnes is being hit, knocked up. Colomeek is getting bounced house. Can he get out? He gets stunned. The ult from Orin. Can he get anyone? He does not. Colomeek is trying to take them for a ride. You have to believe he's dead, but he is trying his best not to give them anything. He's going deeper into enemy territory. How long can he keep this chase going? Play the Benny Hill music because it's not over yet. Colomeek is as deep as you can go. You have to believe he wants to go for an execute. Does he have the shield? He does. Flash from Walliford.
Yeah, that's a good flash. That's a good flash to ping there on the map. That makes you feel good on that.
If you are Walliford right now, you're typing Worth.
You're typing Worth. Colomeek is in call saying, yeah, it's good, guys. I looked for a while. Yeah. There's no objective coming up forever, so you can stall just like that. You are going to eventually lose this tower. That's no big deal here in the mid lane, but with this Baron, you're going to be able to push your lanes forward. I really didn't like Walliford's positioning and choice to open up bot side. The big way that they could contest that Baron was the fact that they had that big sound.
Tragic Crystal Arrow does not land. It was a good look.
Not a bad look either, no. Looking towards Souls, has Flash, has Cataclysm, Vayne not anywhere close, so if
we are nay-ramming here.
It's just not theirs. Yeah, Misfits are nay-ramming, but you can see the Vayne topside, you can see the J4 electing to go to their jungle. They understand that, this is just a complete waste of resources from the side of Misfits. The Vayne's going to get the full tower topside on her own. She's going to get like 3 or 4 waves minimum, catching herself back up into the current state of the game. And, you're spending a little bit of that tempo that we like to talk about just to try and give Misfits an extra little bit of oomph on this map, a little bit of extra space to play with. But when you're dealing with Baron, every single tower, even if it's like that, just feels so good.
And this is one of the challenges of Misfits comp. A lot of people, I think, mistakenly so, think that front-to-back comps are easy to pilot. They're not the hardest comp to pilot. Dedicated 1-3-1s might be up there, but there are challenges to front-to-back comps like what Misfits has. And one of those challenges is that your comp can only really fight as a full 5-man, which makes it difficult, especially against a Baron buff, to properly control your side waves. Sometimes you have no choice but to just group up as a 5 in the mid lane. As you see a fight go down here, Walliford gets jumped on in his own jungle. Wasn't expecting that. We see Colomeek just shredding him, has 40% free armor pen at level 15 now. He does go down.
Not really sure what we're checking the red buff like that for there, buddy. There's not really a reason for you to be doing that. You have Hawkshot on your Ashe too if you want that to happen, so just mistakes
Cataclysm
stacking up
getting
and
used.
having
Hammer
ICs
80
in the
carries
muck.
once again condemned against the Cataclysm. Cataclysm goes down, lets Marth continue to free hit, and that is another kill. That is most of your front line gone. You have to believe that with your front liners out of the way, this turret's probably going to take a lot of damage.
Take a lot of damage, and I mean, I'm looking mid too. I'm looking at the threat Soka's under. I'm really wishing there was someone from Worms on top lane right now farming, but hey, 2 lanes is more than one, which is what Misfits is doing, so I can't be too mad about it. But Wallyford kind of spreading the muck around the team, kind of having a lapse in judgment, walking around topside. You spot 3, then how about my ADC on Sejuani is hitting wave against a Baron. What are you gonna do, my guy? But it's okay. Just regroup, refocus. You mentioned their team fight team. They need to be as 5. This is a great time, ringing the dinger bell. 30 seconds here before the dragon. You're missing that bola from Sejuani. You're missing that stun, but everything else you're gonna have an advantage of at this moment, or at least something. But the big thing you're looking at is Lolcats not having flash and V7 not having flash, and they don't know this is warded.
Yeah, Worm does have first move into the dragon. It does look like Misfits have the better team fight. Their team is here as a 5-man. Walford leading the charge. He gains access into the river for his team. Can they find anything? This is a full-on 5v5. The question is, has Misfits scaled to the point? We already see Call the Meek looking for a flank angle. No wards caught him yet. If he finds a good public execution onto Lolcats, the fight could end before it begins. We also see Souls on the other side looking for a flank. They know they don't want to start this dragon in the face of the front-to-back comp. They got to keep the fight sloppy. But a hook does land down at the Calico. Souls find access onto Lolcats. Call the Meek is looking. This public execution is not quite yet. Lolcats is kiting. Souls does go down. Shut down going over to you, Saka. Saka is now getting run down by Marth. Marth is ignoring the backline because he doesn't need to worry about it. His team has him. It was so well played by Worm.
That's always the disadvantage that you have when you have these big team fight ball comp teams. As you lose, you fall behind just a little bit. You're not going to be able to manage. You're peeling for your Ashe and Vygar, but they just don't have the damage to deal with even the squishies coming at you. When the second you can't burst a Seraphine that got blitzhooked, excuse me, it's just kind of cooked. I'm going to be so honest. You have to be able to hit that burst. Seraphine missed the bot with their Encore. That would have been a free 4-man engage, mind you, but still found 2 at the very end anyway. They weren't able to burst, like I mentioned. I'm looking at Wallyford, who died with ultimate there specifically. That's a big yellow card on the play. You need to be getting that ultimate off. Even though it's not like the premier ultimate, like team fight ultimate that a lot of people really think it is in terms of engage, it's great as a counter engage. Finding a hook that counts as just adding traffic, as adding a counter engage, you need to be hitting that button off of that for Wallyford here. And you need a little more peel here for Lolcats. It's unfortunate that our Ashe doesn't deal damage, but we need to make sure that she can at least pepper away at somebody and has help in someone standing in front, because the Invest is going to cut through a Blitzcrank like butter, man.
I was so impressed with the way Worm navigated that fight, because their comp is hard to 5v5 with, especially into an all-in comp. You have to look for flanks. You have to look for more creative ways to fight. And you had Call the Meek flanking on one side, you had Souls flanking on the other. Yeah, the hook lands, but you can't burst the target down, because as soon as that hook went through, Souls committed onto Lolcats. That is 70% of your team's damage not hitting the hooked target. And from then on, the fight just got crazy. You're completely right about Wallyford's ult, because not only is it not great for, not only is it great for disengaging, it just causes chaos. People scatter as soon as they see that ult come through because they don't want to group up for it, and sometimes people scatter in the wrong directions. You have to wonder if maybe that ult going through could have bought a little bit more time for Misfits to reform their battle lines and get that real front to back going.
But now you're looking down the barrel of a 3-item Embesta. You're looking down the barrel of a 3-item plus decap. One of them is decap for V7 here. Vayne is about to hit 3 items, and hey, it's the one benefit you have with Ashe. Yeah, you can't death push against an Ashe. She's always going to have Hawk Shot. We finally kind of learned from that last time we got picked off, which is good. But Wallyford maybe still a little oblivious. Didn't quite pick up the payphone, so, you know, not there all wholly, but isn't going to take too much damage from the Vayne.
We are seeing some pretty heavy item breakthroughs go through as you finally do check the death bush. Public execution does not find a target. This is the front to back that Misfits wanted. Can they peel for their AD carry correctly? Lolcats is free hitting. So Souls does go down. How many carries low and out? Lolcats is still hitting. Cold is now on the back line though. The Vigor Cage gets used. Cold gets stunned onto it. Is it that Worms just has too much damage? Are they too far ahead? It looked good for Misfits at first, but they couldn't kill their targets.
They just don't have the damage. It's not a complete disaster in terms of results, but I'm looking at everyone having to reset here for the side of Misfits, and it's about as bad as it can come. You're going to be in such a negative position looking at this Baron. Even though it's 15 seconds for Soul here and how about ADC's up, they're not going to be able to clear this in time. They're going to be playing Bouncer. Good enough would be my hope to stop this, but at the same time, you got to hot chuck this Baron. You got to check it just for any old reason.
Oh,
because
no.
It's 100% doable.
I'm at my AD carries walking bottom.
Oh, they don't check at all. No
Yeah.
hot shot, no nothing. They're pinging that. Oh, they're in the blue side. They reset. This is going to be a complete surprise to them. So a Baron snuck under the noses of Misfits.
Either they didn't think they would do it without the smite advantage, or they decided that there was no way they would be able to get their jungler in the pit. But I think in both cases, it's a bit of a mistake, because just the threat of the smite advantage is usually enough to deter this Baron. Maybe Worm was just looking to farm the enemy team, get them there and look for kills. But if that's the case, get them off the Baron and back off. You do have that option. I don't think the game is in such a state where you can just give Barons up when you have a smite advantage.
No, in every single minute that this game kind of goes on and we watch the carries from the side of the Worms get farther and farther ahead, it just gets harder to breathe for the side of Misfits. You get less jungle camps. This Gromp is a luxury picked up here for how I'm at my ADC, and you want that as the Sejuani. You need to be able to buy resistances to empower. It's another death push. I mean, one of them's got to work. One of them's not going to get checked. And Skizzy is going to be the victim.
Da-da.
Oh.
Da-da. Almost.
Oh, man. You got to be pulling that a little sooner the second that Blitzcrank comes out. Or you have to have wards in front of where you're checking to death push properly. Otherwise, you need to be a little far back to give yourself more time. Regardless, it works. You buy time, and you are starting to look at, okay, this orange starting to get a little far top side. This Vayne is doing her job bot side, but you know, I'm kind of sad we're missing this much farm top side.
Yeah, and sometimes death bushes are either a sign of desperation or not knowing how to control your macro because they just kind of stall the game out. But in this case, it makes a lot of sense because the dragon was up. You wanted to gain control of the river. Sorry, it was not up. It was about to be up. You needed to gain control of the river. You still had the mid and the bottom wave pushing. You were checking all of your boxes. Only top was remaining unanswered, and Call the Meek is still up here trying to chase down Walliford, and he might be in a bad place. He doesn't have flash. He is very tanky, but he's not going to get any backup up here. And I think Call the Meek's just going to keep running him down. Yeah, he does have ult, but at this point, it's not going to do anything. Somewhere in all of this, Soul is secured as we see a fight break down here. Soul does get the Cataclysm down onto Lolcats. He gets Sejuani ult in return, but Lolcats is already in there. Double kill going over the Marth. Do they want to run them down even further? Souls has this GA. You have to feel that makes him very confident. After picking up the solo kill, Call the Meek has walked his way all the way down here. Now looking on to Sokka Sr. Sokka Sr. uses his flash, but he's walking towards the enemy team. Public execution does not land. That Event Horizon should buy him some time, but V7 looks like he's trying to chase perhaps. No, he is going to get his reset there, pushing into bottom. This might be an end angle. You have Baron, you have 5 people, you have 3 dead on the enemy team.
It's 100% an end angle. You're walling away in misery here as the Misfits. You're struggling to really come to terms with how this game went. Walliford getting picked off multiple times. That's your kind of key member in these later game team fights. And how Matt Mighty's trying to make up something, but these towers are paper in the face of the siege coming in with all 5 members hitting them. It might not exactly end right now, just based on this positioning, based on what they're doing.
Hook does land onto Marth. That's a great hook, but he does manage to tumble out of there. GA popped onto Souls. He respawns. He's in the middle of the enemy team. Great knockup of Walliford, but the damage on the side of Worm is still alive. Call the Meekis access to the back line. Lolcats is already dead. Sakasi should soon follow. Marth finally whittles down Walliford. I think that was just a gold diff.
Just a gold diff at that moment there. It's a good hook, but it's a gold diff, it's a damage diff. You're looking at who's going to deal damage at this moment, you're looking at who's going to be the person to step up when these picks happen, and it had to be Sokka, and they just weren't able to get in that position. They weren't able to get the gold, weren't able to put themselves in a safe enough spot to cycle their spells 3 to 4 times in a team fight that successful Vigars do. So it's just rough, kind of draft your guys yourselves into a hole with picking all these tanks, but they're off the table. You don't have to worry about them now. Can't trick yourselves into doing that, I'd say. And it looks like this Mbessa and this Victor were kind of difficult for them to deal with. They were able to put this Victor behind. They were able to actually match up in lane to the Mbessa. Yeah, but it looked like the Mastery of the Champions was definitely what shined through here for the side of Worms.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say Worm necessarily won this in draft, but I do think they had the better comp. It was the harder to execute comp, but it was the comp that, if you could execute, would always have control of the early game. And with that control, they found themselves early dragons, they found themselves early team fights, they escalated their Vayne so that in a weird way they still had the stronger AD carry. And like you said, despite being put behind early, V7 came back in a big, big way. We didn't really talk about him outside of the laning phase, but he did so much damage with his AoE. And at the end of the day, the gold difference spoke for itself. You couldn't really pick the fight anymore as Misfits, and your comp just needed too long to scale.
Yeah,
well played.
Well played. You have that sense of urgency. There are a lot of teams that lack that sense of urgency, even though they pick comps that are like this. Like what Worms had, but oftentimes you'll kind of get too comfortable in your position. You'll say, "Well, we've got a Vayne, we're fine. We'll scale. We've got an Mbessa. We'll have team fighting later on. We've got a Victor. We'll be fine." But those games can sneak up on you. The scaling doesn't really exist in the way it used to. 8 years ago in season 7, a lot of people are still kind of stuck in that mentality of like, well, yeah, 80 carries hyperscale like this, and they're always going to be good. No, I see an Ashe, and I'm like, yeah, that thing's gonna kill me. I see an Ornn, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to deal with that. Sejuani, same thing. So I do like that urgency that they have, and it is a good thing to see, and it puts them in a good foot too. Worms were the team that got the best of Misfits in the last best of 3 they played. So if they're able to kind of transition this into a quick couple other games, maybe just a fast one more, they should be in a good spot here to at least not take a breather, but take a couple more calculated risks in draft.
I agree. I also think that when they found each other in the best of 5 in the playoffs earlier, it looked like as the series went on, V7's champion pool was getting pinched further and further. But we are now in a completely different meta where mages are more than viable. In fact, someone may even say optimal to play. And these are, once again, he's probably the premier mage player in the league as far as the AD carry role is concerned. And if that's the case, his champion pool should have no problem going the distance.
Yeah, I think most AD carries do end up playing very similarly. I think if you know like 480 carries, 580 carries, you're going to know the rest of the role in some sort of way. There's the uniques, there's your Ezreals, your Lucians, right, that don't transition like that, but champion pools and AD carry are pretty wide, so having those mages though to be able to kind of expand that, because we saw 3 banned game 1 in the first round. It's 100% going to be one of those cases where AD carry by game 3, most of the meta roster is going to be out, and you're going to be looking at your mages. You're going to be looking at your weirder priorities. I wouldn't be surprised too. You mentioned V7 as being the mage player. Is like a brand Nami something that's on the table here for the side of Worms?
Nami has been one of Calico's most successful supports, but I've never seen him play Brand. I know the other mages that he has gravitated towards in the past would be Ziggs, Mel, and Swain. Mel and Ziggs very much fall within this mage meta. Swain not so much, because while he's definitely a mage, he's not a mage in the sense that he is a free wave clear champion that will allow his support to roam. But I still think that we can expect to see it if the draft leans that way.
Mm-hmm. Not too bad, not too bad. It's a fun game. We're going to be popping into draft here relatively quickly. I'm going to take a quick breather. Oh, I have one thing to say. Unsolicited. My apologies. For your big team fights, on the come up there to hit your like max energy, give yourself like an extra second or two. You'll notice that you'll have more breath.
Oh, me.
Like think of you. Like think of when you're going to a team fight. Think of like a car, or like at a car and you're shifting on the way up. Give yourself like a couple extra seconds on the way up, and you'll have a lot more breath to kind of last through the muck, and then you can hit your high energy, and then just like do your fun little one-liners that everyone likes to do.
I'm just
Which,
pacing myself as we
yeah,
get into bands. We see the same bands going through. I think this is expected for the most part. Misfits chose to remain on blue side with that first pick, which makes sense. If you let Worm have blue side, I imagine that both the Caitlyn and the Jinx bands drop because they would probably first pick either of those. So Misfits forcing Worm to do these double AD carry bans by staying on the blue side. But the question is now, what do you want first pick?
first pick. TK is definitely a top lane oriented thing. I see Jinx off, and I really kind of shun away from TK in the support role whenever I see Jinx gone. You can pick it with like an Aphelios or like a Twitch, but I'm kind of like I'm making faces when I say those champions right now because I really don't see a TK coming out with those champions at this point in the draft. I'm really expecting that top lane here with Misfortune coming on through. A Braum ban did show that they were going to do this, so Tom Kench has a little more validity in the bot lane, and you can pick something a little more aggressive. You could go even like the Kog'Maw to try and match that. If you are a Ziggs enjoyer, I actually don't mind Ziggs into Misfortune. I view it very kind of as the antithesis. Misfortune, it doesn't have enough range with her Q to stand away from ranged creeps, and she doesn't get the angles that the Q bounce exactly wants to. So you'll be able to hit all the bombs in the world that you could ever dream of. But Lilia showing up. It looks like Misfits, they're getting the rewards that they want to pick tanks. They're expecting to see a couple more tanks. Maybe not exactly the Ornn, that's off the table, but like a Sun wouldn't be out of picture. Another tank support wouldn't be out of the picture. So I really like this Lilia early.
Now, while Misfits are what I would consider a conventional front-to-back team, they, in the past, have not traditionally overloaded that way. I actually think their Game 1 draft was a bit of a departure from how they usually draft. I will be especially seeing the Lilia a little surprised if they draft lots of tanks into this. Vi, I think, is a great answer. Lilia is very slippery, very fast. Vi, not a tank to give Lilia something to just wail on. You can use that ult to lock her down. You can also use the ult to lock down the Misfortune. She is fast, but not mobile.
Now, Vi usually means you want to pick something that can find picks in the mid lane. Mel's kind of that second tier after your Aries and Syndras. With Vi, does it good enough and can flex bot lane if you've got an AD carry that's willing to play the champion, which most aren't, fortunately and unfortunately. So I'm expecting to see that mid lane. I'm expecting to see a response here into Mel. I believe I've been seeing Anivia if like my mind isn't playing tricks on me. There's so many games of League of Legends, but they're gonna be holding this mid laner into the second round, get the support they want, which Rel is kind of that secondary. You think of like Leona Misfortune, Leona Rel can do the exact same thing. It's just tailoring how your engages look. Are you going to be this like longer range pick with the ultimate, or are you going to be this big team fight, short duration lockdown, but like big AoE, big range? And Rel really shows that Lilia group super well. And a fun fact too about the Lilia sleep is if you get the drowsy off during the duration of bullet time, they won't get awoken up by the actual waves. So you can just leave them slept forever as they get shot to death.
That being said, depending on whether this is Walford or Skizzy and how they pilot it, I'm liking this Tom Kench more and more because you dream of the multi-man ults as Lilia, but a lot of the time you're getting one or two people with it and trying to use it as a pick tool. This Tom Kench can save people from Lilia ults, can save people from the Misfortune ult. The Mel Reflect will delay a lot of Misfortune ult damage as well, which I think was part of the idea in locking this champion here. Worm has done a great job of setting themselves up for teamfight, but Misfits has also done a great job giving themselves tools to counter it. Now, I do think Worm has more agency with what they've drafted, and I'm curious to see if they can round it out in such a way that it will stick. Don't be fooled, Halfling! That is probably their mid laner.
Is there mid laner?
Yep, Marth is a Zyra mid lane aficionado.
To the Mel is risky. It's not bad. I believe the ultimate can't get rebutted, so it's really just worried about the Tanglethorn. But I've seen Zyra mids work, and I've seen them do okay, and it's always like questionable in my mind when I see a Zyra mid. Not that I hate the pick, and I like when people are able to make it work, but it's always like you need to prove that this champion belongs here because of how much of a premier champion she is in the support in comparison to where she is mid lane. The master required to make her mid lane works is much, much different in Misfits. Now, because they see the Zyra and they probably have the same knowledge that you do, they can just lock in the Alistar. They can move this Mel mid lane, get a comfortable matchup mid lane, and then now they're playing full dive into Misfortune Realm.
I'm not 100% sure this is full dive, but the problem is the fact that I'm not sure is the problem, because Alistar and Vi are full dive. That's basically the only way you can play these champions. Mel can be played as a committed poke champion. Tristana can be played as a dive champion, but especially as the game scales, she has the longest range in the game, outscaling even Caitlyn when she hits level 18. So you can just play the range game, but what are you doing in conjunction with your Vi and your Alistar? Your Tom Kench can play both dive and peel, so he feels a little more at ease here. But once again, Misfits comp feels a little disjointed.
Yeah, it's better than last game, I'd say.
I would agree.
Just because there's a little more there's a little more damage coming out. I can see 3 people confidently having good team fight damage and 4 like actual damage sources. TK damage cannot be underestimated in lane whatsoever. You are into the Yone though, so there is 100% a way for you to get shut out. Or I'm gonna say it as is: you can just kind of dick down a Yone as Tom Kench. If the Yone makes one misstep and you show him what that tongue do as TK, it just kind of it's a wrap. I'm gonna be honest. But I do agree though, if the dive coming in from Misfits is not immediately supported, or it's not the tanks specifically, it's not the Alistar or the Tom Kench being the initial dives, it's like your Vi or your Tristana just having a lapse in judgment or a mistimed engage, you're screwed. You're going to be going on top of a Zyra. Why would you do that? You're going on top of why would you do this? Tristana Mel. Or not Mel, as Tristana or Vi. So coordination has to be there. Misfits definitely not showing all the levels that we want to see to have a comp like this, but we've seen them do it in the past. We saw them do it last week, so obviously it's there. It's just first game jitters. You got to remember what it's like to lose in order to get the success to win.
And there are angles for Misfits comps to execute itself, and it's maybe not the angle you always want to hear, but I think there are a world where this Vi Mel particularly just snowballs so far out of control that the comps themselves kind of stop to matter. Once this Vi hits 6, I really want to see just an ult mid immediately. I don't see Zyra surviving a Vi Mel combination with the Vi ult being committed.
Mm-hmm. But that does give them a little bit of specialty towards their skirmishing. Last game, they definitely did not have that option whatsoever, and they just were forced to team fight, even though like they like didn't have the best team fighting. They could never set themselves in the right spot. Now they can just 100% skirmish. Now they can just really focus on making sure that, hey, my Vi, my Mel, and my Tristana are going to show up at a play. Tristana shouldn't be there, but whatever. Like these 3 are just going to find a fight. They're going to blow up one person, use their ultimates in the process, throw out as much as they can, as fast as they can, and then in that process, get the kill, get out, and then play around those cooldowns. A lot of people get caught up in still trying to team fight, even with comps like that, because they see the options that they have for engage, but they really do need to focus back on just look for your Vi ultimates, hit your timers that you're supposed to, play by that textbook that kind of esoterically exists, but everyone is kind of aware of. The Vi, play around Vi level 6, group up with your mid laner at the time. Alistar try and get 6 and go for a roam, or 3 and fight hard bot side with Tristana. Tom Kench try and cheese out something, maybe with an igniter and exhaust pickup. or unlocking the support for a Herald play. Like all of these little bits and pieces, both these teams are very aware of. I just prefer the Misfits if they're going to do it just because of what I see in their comp. But when I look over towards the Worms, they kind of have the pick of the litter. They can do whatever they want. It's not going to be a specialist. They're not going to specialize in team fighting because I think their front line's kind of weak. They're not going to specialize in skirmishing and picks because I think their pick potential is kind of whatever outside of Fate Dealed from Yone. And their split pushing can work. I like the side laning from Yone, but Zyra kind of leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of her success in side laning and her siege. She's able to play, she's able to survive and turn situations on its head. I don't know how I feel about her making it out of those situations. I think she'll just go 1-for-1, and sometimes that's not what you're looking for.
We are in an ad break, so I'm going to use this opportunity to go to the little boys' room. I will be back in just a moment. The scene changes into the game. Let's see where we go.
Be quiet. Or whatever. By replay Andy's and like the 5 people subscribed. How's it going? Hope you're having a good night. Let them cook these trips.
And I have returned. We should be getting into game in just a moment. Ads should be going for just another 35 seconds, which should cover most of the loading time.
Made that mistake of like, I took a nap, and I haven't had my AC on all day. Been trying to be, a good like crappy environmentalist. Not using my AC but playing on my PC all day. It's losing one but gaining the other.
Yeah.
And I didn't turn it back on. I'm like, oh, it's like 3. I'm gonna take a nap. It's like 3 or 4. I'm gonna take a nap, and then I'm gonna get up and like be rested for this cast because I know it's gonna go long. No AC when you take a nap means what are you gonna do? Dehydrate yourself. What are you gonna do when you wake up and you dehydrate yourself? Chug a bunch of water. Now I just feel bloated, like that. Like I feel bulbous and just unwell, but it's not bad, and I just need to stop myself from drinking water. Anyway,
I'm a main carry goes for the early ward.
Quite the water you need. It's like a river. Do you think the river water in League of Legends tastes good?
I think it tastes magical. I don't know if it tastes good, but I think it tastes magical.
Like magical, like that first time you ever drank like Fiji water.
No. Magical,
or like
it's sprinkled with pixie dust. Is this just a full-on fight that we're going to see up in the top lane?
Yeah, it is.
Knight is committed on the side of Cold.
Night diff right there. Night diff is something. I haven't been seeing D shield as much anymore from any top lane. I think TK is one of the champions you could get away with it, but you have a lot of sustain on Tongue Lash as well. That if Walliford can just find like 2 of those on call to Meek at this moment, they're going to be in a pretty comfortable spot. They're going to be able to make it through whatever they ever want to and make up that Ignite disadvantage that they ran into early on. But the big issue with TK in any sort of these matchups is you are insanely power budgeted towards landing your Q. If you're unable to land that consistently, you're going to find a lot of struggles. And I can see just on the sidebars with the HP, Walliford isn't really having as much luck landing that Tongue Lash, and they're going to struggle to sustain, they're going to struggle to keep up their mana if that stays the case.
Yeah, landing Tongue Lash as Tom Kench, it falls under the bucket of like landing Mystic Shot as Ezreal or landing your Dark Binding as Morgana. It's not always easy to land, but that comes with the champion. I have to assume that Walliford trusts himself to land enough of these. He is restoring quite a bit of health as this wave starts to collapse under his turret. That's the word I wanted. Both of these top laners should go back to just farming for a bit.
Yeah, they'll just kind of return. It's their one love. The one true love of every top laner is just farming, just chilling around. But I guess they do like fighting. Yeah, I can see Call the Meek really wants to. Skizzy also wants to fight. You can see just how aggressively they're positioning on this Alistar.
Oof.
But speaking of someone that maybe regretted the fight they're in, it's Sokka. Found a great trade, landed everything, but just this early game meld damage is not going to be able to match up to Marth. Plus that ignite pressure that exists. You don't want to make one last, any misstep could just be your last.
Yeah, and I have a friend that plays a crud ton of Lux. As we see a gank going down over in the top side. How about my AD carry is here? He's only 3 camp. Call the Meek is feeling some return damage, and he's going to have to snap back deep into the lane. Flash gets used. Still flash on the side of Souls. You have to believe that his kill is going to be going over. But the first blood goes over to Call the Meek. Souls tried to, I'm sorry, how about my AD carry tried to donate the kill. But in doing so, he allowed Call the Meek to survive. And Call the Meek gets the first blood. He is happy about that 1-for-1.
We had time as how I meant my ADC to just sit there and charge up that Vault Breaker for that extra half second or so to close that gap. But even then, Flash there, you really do want that Q to land all the time. And Sokka's just going to eat that Ignite, has to flash away here mid lane. A forced reset, a forced teleport here, so Marth just happy to burn that one down. And get that little advantage. But the teleport going to even it up anyway. Skizzy's in this bush and has been very difficult to remove. V7
does commit to the full Alistar combo. Wildcats is auto-attacking. Does not get the follow-up damage on the explosive shot. Just a trade of health. Some damage going down to V7. Some damage going down to Skizzy Barnes.
Yeah, I don't want to know how that would turn out for V7 if they didn't have that barrier, if they didn't have Calico close on by. I don't know if I want to know how this turns out here.
Harder trade here. Despite the first blood going over, it is mostly an even health trade. Slight health advantage going over to Call the Meek, but between the Doran Shield, you see a combo going on the Skinny Boys. This is a full commit from Lolcats. The explosive shot, the ignite is on V7. It's ticking. It's not quite enough. That is Flash and Barrier being burned by V7. Exhaust being burned by Calico.
So close.
There's a good exhaust by Calico. You have to believe V7 would have died without it.
Oh, 100%. Just taking HP bar there. But Call the Meek has got kill threat here. Ultimate Ignite as well here. So I hope Oliver kind of understands that the danger there. And they've got red buff, but the second you see that tick off, Call the Meek is just going to switch on the Afterburners right now.
I have been playing a lot of League Classic, and I'm already back in like old League mindset. Oh, we see a fight going down over here. How about my AD carry? He's here to follow up. He still has Flash. I don't see Marth. He's just trying to hard commit turn. Marth commits his Flash. He's going up the river. I'm not quite sure where how my AD carry is going. He had no vision of that. Just flashes over and dashes nowhere.
I don't remember that one. That didn't happen. Everyone gets one.
Oh, what is this? This is a heads-up roam from Skizzy Barnes. He's here. Does he want it?
Okay.
He does use the dash to get away, but he's just going to snap back straight into an Alistar knockup. It's coming. He's going to get headbutted into the turret. There is no way Call the Meek is getting out of this one. Served up for dinner.
I just noticed it the whole time. I thought like my map, the map on our screen was being a little clunky. I'm like, why is that ability not lit up? Call the Meek held on to the level up for their ultimate that whole time up until they got eaten. How about my ADC though?
Souls has the ult advantage. He just wants this. Skizzy Barnes is here, roaming all the way down from a successful gank on top side to cover.
Souls is just an animal, man. Just an animal in this jungle. Running around. I know literally on the Lilia, but like it is just an animal on this jungle. One full clear ahead of how I'm at my ADC. Yeah, not as many effective ganks at all, but Lily, I'm happy to get her farming. I'm happy to get her clearing it and running through everything as fast as possible. So that's really, really good. This up tempo is going to give them position. Well, yes, your bot lane. We see
another pulverized knockup combo being used by the Alistar. Calico turns it around. Calico has the backup. Skizzy Barnes just gets killed. Kill goes over to Souls. Anything else in return? V7 decides he just wants to walk into the lane. That's a lot of damage being returned, but not as much damage as V7 deals back over to Hamad by AD carry. It is going so wrong so quickly for Misfits.
Yeah, it's just going wrong and worse, and it's off the back of this, and this jungle advantage that's coming out now, and V7 just gonna pop that bullet time, clears the wave, move up to the dragon, be the good guy ADC, that your teammates love to see.
This is bro AD carry play styles. Using the ult just to shove the wave so you can help your jungler with the dragon.
Yeah, your back isn't ruined based off the fact you got pick already. Yeah, the enemy bot lane's going to show up, but as long as you can get this reset off here in a couple seconds, you'll be fine. It's no big deal, and especially with all these ganks towards topside, Call the Meek in this like counter matchup effectively, it is in a pretty fine spot. Walliford, all things considered, especially after that first game, it's a good comeback. They've got heal cut already, so they're going to be able to match anything that Call the Meek is pulling off. And a big thing too, they picked up the Ignite in this Yone. A great side laning champion, now kind of having their side lane stunted a little bit. Yeah, has kill threat, but who are you killing? You're going to be struggling to kill this Tom Kench here pretty soon. You're going to be struggling to deal with anything because the map has been split, and you're dealing with that Vi.
And we are seeing a bit of a reversal of the expected roles of these two teams here. Typically, it is Misfits bot side with the lead, and it is Worms top side with the lead. But that is not the story of this game. Currently, we see that V7 does have a 500 gold lead over his opponent, and there is a 200-300 gold lead for Walliford. Nothing major on either side overall, but definitely a bit of untreaded territory here.
Yeah, it's untreaded, but not unknown for all these players. Everyone's had a bad game, you know. It's the way it goes. Maybe these top players are going to be trading those bad games up.
Not me. I don't have a bad game. I have the bad game. I have the incident. Oh, Call the Meek might be having a bad game. We see the return gank over here, but he just full all-ins on the Hamama AD carry. Cease and desist does get used to buy some time. He's going to snap back any moment now. What happens when he does? Walliford is waiting for him. Gets immediately eaten straight out of his flash. One more auto to do it. One more tongue lick.
Yeah, it's just now the ganks are starting to actually matter here from how I met my DC, which is very good. And it's able to kind of take a little bit of that disadvantage back up, but split map means Lilia has the go-ahead to look bot side, even on vision, understanding, hey, my bot camps are gone, guys. You need to be able to play weak side. We're weak siding a Tristana at this moment, and we're giving a lot of golden pressure over to V7. Mind you, it is a completely different it's a completely different kind of
that might just be death, but for who, it's hard to say.
Close.
Both of them are going so low, but Sokka just took so much damage from the plant. One more auto, but now how MMA carries here. He does not have that flash. Souls is here to cover.
Flash. It's just like 2 seconds left. Martha's still alive,
it just came up.
But TP means Sokka's fine. Martha's just gonna clear this way as fast as possible to reset probably like a minute or two. But as of right now, it's just kind of really this. I'm not seeing the usage out of this Zyra quite yet, but her power comes from being able to zone away with her plants in like the middle stages, you know, around objectives and choke points. So once we can see that, we can talk about her utility. But as of right now, just clearing wave, she's doing fine. She's staying alive, so no complaints.
I have a friend that plays a crap ton of Lux, and as such, he's very familiar with the Lux into Mel matchup. I bring this up because I said, isn't that horrible for Lux? And he said, it's not terrible, you just can't use the bind. You're just never allowed to use the bind. And I feel like that's kind of how this Zyra matchup should be. I don't think you are allowed to use the Tangle Vines. I think if you just stop using those as Marth, you're going to be bullying Sokka a lot more effectively.
Just bullying.
We see the headbutt pulverized combo. Calico returns in kind. Positions aggressively towards Lolcats, but doesn't find anything. V7 has to flash out. Returns with the bullet time, but now Skizzy Barnes is the one being run down. V7 has the health advantage. The return combo gets used, and it is a shutdown going over to Lolcats. That's just Skizzy Barnes knowing his limits. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, we have Walliford, the beneficiary of all these ganks from High Mema AD Carry, is now just flexing onto Call the Meek. You said it, past a certain point, you just start auto-attacking. One more, he thought it would do it, but he's just going to keep running him down. Can he?
Down guarantees it. Thick skin. Ooh. It's just hard. Walliford made a couple mistakes. They should have been happy with the HP disparity that they created anyway.
Once
And
Cole the Meek
we
committed
mentioned
his
about
ult
farming.
to get out of there, I think you just let him walk
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, he has to reset. He's going to lose a wave. You're going to get a plate.
Oh,
You're
I'm
going to
AD
be able to
carry.
get the up on the play. And it's 2 levels down on the Vi and Call to Mika's Ignite. I'd honestly be really scared, especially with how frequently or infrequently how my ADC's been landing these vault breakers. The CC's not guaranteed from this Vi, even with Flash. So that was definitely a scary situation avoided at this moment. But the control on the bot side of the map here from Souls and from the rest of Worms makes this dragon very difficult to approach. Even with Sokka in not the worst spot possible, even with Lolcats actually in a good spot in this lane, all things considered. PS Sword Collector's a very strong spike here for Lolcats at second dragon. It's just so hard to walk in. You're going to be dealing with a full time here in about 20 seconds. There's no barrier, though, that you can try and take advantage of, and Lolcats missing that flash is definitely something that you have to watch out for. But you've got Alistar Ultimate. Hex Flash on this champion just means any angle is always real.
Yeah, there is an unsung X factor here, though, and it is Souls. Souls has been playing with his bot side prio, but rather than using that to make a lot of things happen the way Hamam AD Carry has over in the top side, Hamam AD Carry is now here on the bot side. Just
Souls
an
on
exchange
top.
of help. Are they giving this dragon just to try to return the damage back over onto Call the Meek? Walford is tanky now, though. The crowd control has been used. He might just walk out. Can he? He does land that tongue. Oh! Under the turret! Does he spin him out? Flash over by Souls.
Time.
Meanwhile, on the bot side here, the Worm bottom lane is doing their best to delay this dragon. With Souls showing on top, though, I don't think anything's going to happen here. Marth does look. He deals a lot of damage onto Lolcats. Lolcats buffers the knockup from the ult. Does manage to dash out, but the last tick of Ignite does it.
Yeah, it's so scary to try and make any play. Bullet time puts a lot of damage there. It's really good for Worms, all things considered. Yeah, you lost the dragon. They go 1-1 in this game at this moment, but I think you're happy with that. You got to kill top side. You were able to relieve a lot of pressure top.
Yeah.
Lilia got gold. She's able to farm the top side of Vi, so how my ADC is falling further and further behind in the specific jungle matchup. B7 gets a little bit of help side Martha. They're going to spot how my... This is bullying, man. Oh my god. This is crazy. Turn on his head, please.
He just walks into Sakasino. Sees that this does get used, but Call the Meek is here. We see Sakasino getting immediately executed. Call the Meek is shredding through them. That is another kill going over to him. Now the question is, can Souls get out? The cavalry has arrived, but Calico is here. Quite literally, the cavalry for her own teammate. Barth Stillnance is here as well. Magnustorm gets used. Walliford is getting rooted down into it. Souls is still here, still trying to run them down. Slow gets used. The knockup gets cancelled. And that is another kill going over. It feels like Worm is running away with this game. 5,000 gold at 15 minutes.
They feel like they're in their element now. They've just got this fed jungler. When you have a fed jungler, it's really easy to make plays, especially every single time you just hear, yeah, let's just invade. Let's just do this. That was definitely a bad time. That was definitely a point in time where they could have gotten punished, but the members opening top here for this Herald on spawn, just not the correct ones. The Mel really not in the right spot to capitalize. How about my ADC is just in no position at all to contest anything on this map. Still doesn't have upgraded smite here at 15, almost 16 minutes now crossing over to that. And Skitty isn't really that scary with a Bandle Glass Mirror and whatever that item's called. I see it on Alistar. I just completely forget the stacking item name because I'm so shocked to see that in the inventory of a support. I get the AP ratios from Alistar are great, and I get that Ultimate Unstoppable is a great button for Alistar, but that's just not the purpose of AP. I gotta be so honest here. So I do agree with what I see in chat. There's not really a feasible way that I can see the Misfits get back into this game. I have a hard time imagining it. Once again, I go back to the options of scaling. There aren't that many like direct and obvious engage options other than a Rel combo or a Yone ultimate, but those are so strong and so frequently open, and it's on the enemy team to show up and give you that opportunity now rather than you being forced to create it. Because you have this pressure in mid lane, you have the Zyre pushing side lane, you have this Yone pushing side lane, you have your mid lane pushing, you're just going to always have an option here. On top of your Lily also farming really well. So the cake in its entirety here is just sitting in front of Worms, and they've just got to make sure not to eat it too fast.
And I want to highlight Souls here as well. I've been a big fan of Souls all throughout the split. I don't even get the chance because Walliford is getting run down in the river. These are the two champions with burns. but with the support of his own team, Walford should be able to walk away. Now Cole the Meek is getting surrounded, so he decides, rather than wait for them to come to him, he's going to go to them. Does he have the damage? The Ignite does pick him up. Skizzy Barnes is here. He's just a lonely Alistar. He's not going to make anything happen.
Just a spectator.
That is the worst feeling.
Heard that call? Heard that ringing call, on the payphone, walking past the street, you hear it? Oh, man, your man is screaming in your ear, help! And there's just nothing you can do, man. Nothing you can do. You can't show up in time at all. And that's the unfortunate case for being like an Alistar or behind engaged support. I don't think Skizzy's been having that bad of a game. It's just unfortunate that you're looking at this Vi really struggling to find their legs. You're looking at Sokka here really not having a great time into the Zyra here. And this is kind of this point in time where I get to say, like, yeah, Zyra picked great. I was wrong. And that's good. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'm happy to learn something and see a new experience. So that's always going to be good.
The thing that has impressed me so much from this game, I keep trying to glaze souls, and I don't get the chance because I think I'm about to see Call the Meek take another fight. No, he is walking away. Both of these junglers, I felt, really understood what the assignment was. Souls on this Lilia is a farming jungler. You want to get items on this champion. You want to get gold on this champion. This is a proper carry champion. Yeah, the ult is very useful for crowd control, but that's not really what you want to pick Lilia for. You want to pick her to kill people. Vi is an enabler. Vi needs to make things happen in the early game or you risk falling behind. And it seemed to me, as this fight breaks out, we already see Souls checking this bush. The ult does get used onto 2. Does he have any follow-up? He just uses the E to check it. Unfortunately, the bolt time finds no one. Walford is down the back line. He found V7, but does he have any kind of follow-up? Skizzy Barnes is waiting in the wings, but he doesn't find anything. V7 flashes over the wall. Walford finally goes down. It just looked like Isaka Sr. does pick up a kill onto Calico, but it's just the support. And once again, Cole the Meek is looking for the ult, but he does find a little bit more than he wanted to. He snaps back. The Ignite is ticking. It's not quite enough. It looked like everyone, except for poor Walliford on Misfits, was too afraid to follow up.
It's just... That was such a funny fight to kind of like blink on through. You see just every single moment in time, Worms just comfortably hitting a frontliner, and there's nothing that Misfits can do. They can't walk up. Tristana can't auto attack. So like Shirelia's is a buy here. Great if you're ahead. It feels awesome. You can run people down and really empower everybody to stay in a fight or get into a fight. You don't want to fight, man. You don't want to be there. You need to go home. You need to farm, man. You need to give yourself some time. And I don't know if they've even got that time. I look at the options they have to scale.
Oh, they've already found Hamamedi carry. He doesn't even get a chance to move. That should be Baron. Man. You just found the enemy jungler in topside.
Yeah, just do it. Blue buff dry, alone pants down, unfortunately. Just preparing for the game, and unfortunately, they get picked off. The vision game perfect here from the side of Worms. They really do seem to want this game at the moment much more than Misfits, and that really shows in the effort that they're putting in, the plays that they're looking for, the risks that they're taking are both calculated but risky enough to where there's actual benefit to it happening. And
Walford is getting help. Lowcats is here. He does swallow Cole the Meek back over into his turret, but not quite enough to deal damage. Is that a shutdown? Finally, something going back over to Lowcats as she picks up a much-needed shutdown.
It's a shutdown. It's a way in. You have to, when you're working through these games, you're playing with your 80 carry friend that really wants to win, and he was the only person doing well. They're always going to talk to this and be like, okay, give me a shutdown. Give me that Yone shutdown. Give me that Zyra shutdown. Give me that Misfortune shutdown. That's a way for Misfits. It's definitely not impossible for them, but it's very unlikely. It's very difficult to get anything that feels substantial for them right now. All towers are up on the outers, so I guess you could start there with your Tristana, with your Bell, but they're just paper on the side lanes too. They can't really push on their own, and you're looking down at Baron. That's going to transition after Baron. You're going to have like a minute into the next Dragon. That's sole point for the enemy team, so you're going to feel a little pressure to show up there, and that's probably where this game's going to end at this moment. I'm looking at this Vi right now as like that primary engage option for the side of Misfits, and I don't want to see her engage. I don't want to see her do anything, man. This Vi is just not able to play the game, and it's so unfortunate.
Now, if you're Misfits, I think the biggest mistake that you can make is trying to fight for this third dragon. Giving over soul point feels bad, but I don't think there's a world where you win a team fight at this point in the game. Third dragon is third dragon. It's soul point. It's not soul. If you fight, you're going to end up giving up soul point and 5 kills. I think you just give that, keep your wave shoves, try to put as much gold into yourself as possible. Look for whatever scaling you think your comp has. You've got the Tristana, the Melt Poke is real, and draw a line at the next Baron or Soul, whichever comes first.
It's just Soul. Oh, could be scary. I also see Burn, but Lifer's just gonna get ran down. Oh, that missed.
This is a lot of damage that's gonna follow through. The snapback is not quite enough, however. Walford, for everything that has happened in this game, is tanky.
It is tanky, actually. Everything, results be damned. That Tahm Kench tanky, man. They gotta look for this engage. They want to so bad. How I bet he's gonna temper just because of Marth in the area, but even like if they find that engage with their Mel there, it's just gonna go disastrous. Yeah. They're getting chipped away right now, getting bled dry at this moment, and
Misfits does not have what I would consider a conventional poke comp, but they have more poke than their opponent does at this point in the game, and it is showing.
Yeah, it can happen. There's the poke. It's not quite a lot, but they've definitely got poked. You are not wrong there. So as of right now, I would say we are just kind of in this waiting room. We're waiting for the stars to align.
There's Australia's getting used. The full combo being used onto Marth. A ton of damage goes back over to Sokka. Not enough to get the immediate kill. That Zanies is going to buy time. Great knockback from the Alistar. Cease and desist gets used. The flash has already been committed. This might be another shutdown. The bolt time is used on top, but doesn't pick up any last kills. Kolomeek is looking. He burns the flash. Does not quite find anything. Walliford is there to save his AD carry with a well-timed teleport, but V7 is back. Does get the kill over on the AD carry. Walliford is once again in the middle of everyone. Sokka Senior is on a killing spree.
Kulk has just made an absolute terrible mistake there. You could see in the comms with how they were moving. The call came in. Don't fight. That's Tahm Kench TP. Let's chill out. And then Kolomeek just flashes in. They had a great fight if they continued even on that TP. There was a great angle for Fate Sealed. Everyone was lined up. Their clones were in the right spot. But the call came in to stop. And then they went back in. And just that little bit of kind of buffer in that gave the chance for Misfits to win. It's still 5,000 down, but they're in a little bit better of a spot.
Hey,
positionally,
it was 8,000 down at the end of Baron. That's a 3,000 gold swing. You take those.
Yeah, they're just destitute when it comes to their summoners, though. Not a single flash besides Tahm Kench.
And I stand by what I said.
Summoner spell.
I don't think you fight for this dragon if you're Misfits. Now they're here, and they clearly want to, but I losing this fight will be disastrous for them. I do think you give the dragon, it's a safer call. But there's a great flank angle from Walliford. He's hovering around on the backside. He's looking, he's moving forward. Does he find Marv? He does get the knockup. Skizzy Barnes gets a follow-up. Marv flashes out. Dragon is secured by Souls. Calico is buying space for her team. V7 is kiting down. Finally, Walliford goes down. It is like I said. You could not win this fight. The only thing worse than losing this dragon was losing the dragon at 5 kills. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's just the way it's been going all night. It's just the way it's been. It's been just little precarious positioning. It's kind of battling the way to begin, but the game state has just been absolutely railroaded here by the side of Worms, and they've been doing their homework by the looks of it. They're all practiced, they're all ready, they're all working together, and it just makes the game so much more comfortable. It makes it so much easier to really comfortably win these games. And even then here, I also like this tempering. They're not going to try and risk it. Take all the towers they can, take all the inhibitors they can. And I think this inhibitor here is precarious. Could be a fight if they take it instantly. But even then, the angle's so short, so small.
Most of Worms' wins all throughout the regular season and playoffs have been off of Kolomeek and Souls, creating huge leads in the top side, and their bottom lane just sort of surviving and then transitioning into being a better part of the team. That's not what this has been. This has been a team-wide concerted effort to create small advantages and turning them into big advantages. And yet another big advantage as this Baron has started. They back off of it. They want to farm. The Yonel does not land. Great bullet time! Zones the entire enemy team off. Once again, Walford is stuck inside everyone. Golden walks away. V7 picks up that kill. Hamamani carry dies to the Lily ult. V7 has a double. Another one. Surely is going to go over. Saka Senior has disconnected in the middle of the team fight. The Lily ult is going to be used. You have to believe that it's going to be Lolcat Steph. Bonk! As she goes down.
Yeah, it's just a cooked situation. The gold lead, definitely too much to be able to capitalize on a pick there, because that was another situation where Kolomik had some quite precarious positioning, I would say. Getting a little too aggressive, going for something that maybe they shouldn't get away with, but when you're up 10k, who cares? You're able to do whatever you want. You're up an item on your late opponent, and you die to them 3 times in lane. So, honestly, perfectly fine.
And I want to address the elephant of that last team fight, just so that it was seen and it is addressed. Soccer Senior disconnected in the middle of it. It looked like that team fight was decided even before that had happened, but you do have to wonder, perhaps, if that could maybe sway things. Kolomik did walk away with the slightest margin of health. For those of you that do not know, in order to prevent pause abuse, you are not allowed to pause in the middle of a team fight. This is the unfortunate downside of that rule. If you disconnect in the middle of the team fight, it's kind of too bad, so sad. But I at least want to acknowledge that had happened. This was not just a straight up 5v5 Worm styling on Misfits. There was that unfortunate hiccup.
Yeah, I don't think pausing, even if they could pause in the middle of the team fight, would fix that there. I hope they need like a breather, maybe reset a router and whatnot, figure out what's going on the best you can. Maybe close Steam running the background or something like that. Just some placebo to make yourself feel better, because oftentimes there's not a whole lot you can do about DCing like that. It's quite sad, but it happens.
But despite addressing all that, we are now 2-0 in Worm's favor. I don't think this was how anyone expected this series to go. We definitely expected it to be close. It's been close every time these two teams met. But in the best of 5 in playoffs, the more recent matchup, Misfits did get the better of Worms. And I don't know if you saw this happening, but CLT put up a community poll asking who we thought the winner would be. And despite how close their previous matchups were, it was a pretty overwhelming vote in favor of Misfits. And now here we are. We're match point.
Yeah, I could say I picked Misfits too, but that was based off of the confidence in the approach that I saw from their series against the expected winners from last week. I really did want them to try and show up a little bit bigger, but holy, it's been so difficult to try and effectively shut down Call. And you kind of told me about this going in the game. Typically, this squad, Misfits, are beneficiaries of their bot lane winning in isolation. And they've been doing fine in isolation against the jungle pressure, but it's been not enough to offset just the lead that's being gained from that, on top of the lead just not being generated on the other side of the map. You're not really getting all you want on those topside plays, and the gold just isn't really going to who you want to in the champion you want to. When an Ornn gets a kill, when a Tahm Kench gets a kill, it's pretty nice, it feels good, but it's just not that big of a deal. It just doesn't matter. It's not going to transition into later. He's going to eventually die to a Yone that's building Blade of the Rune King, that has the benefit of being able to build Blade of the Rune King too. So maybe either a champion that can abuse that more, or just an entire, stylistic change and looking towards that bot lane and trying to empower and play strong side into strong side could be the switch that they need.
Yeah, I think their drafts are a little suspect. I think their Game 2 draft's better than their Game 1 draft. Their Game 1 draft was rough, because you basically handed the whole game to your opponents and just kind of begged them to let you scale. Unfortunately, Fearless draft We're now going to game 3. You've used a lot of your power picks on what I would consider to be suboptimal drafts. Your opponents have taken a lot of your power picks away by playing them themselves. So now you have to salvage your draft. Find a game here. Your backs are against the wall, looking for the reverse sweep when you're being knocked pretty far down your champion pools.
Yeah, you're definitely starting to pick them off, especially we've kind of hammered away at it, and we're gonna keep talking about it. Is that AD carry pool? It's getting squeezed more and more. We already saw misfortune in game 2, which is usually your like game 3 champion, in most scenarios in most leagues. So that's definitely something you have to keep your eyes on for both these AD carries moving into the second round. Is there like a possibility of like a Cassiopeia bot lane coming in from Worm? Is that something that's in the wheelhouse?
I don't think it is. I think
Unfortunately.
the most likely mage bottom that we are to see from Worm is going to be Ziggs. From what I have seen V7 play, Smolder has been a very successful champion of his as well. Smolder has been knocked down quite a few pegs since the Deathfire Touch Backfire, or Black Cleaver interaction has been nerfed. Still a playable champion, but certainly not something that we would see win lane as we see Sivir picked up. This is a denial pick. A little bit what I was saying earlier. Misfits has been pushed down the champion pool. I think they've just decided that this is the best thing they can pick up here. There is Nami picked up. Maybe we do see the Nami brand you asked about earlier.
I did ask about it. Nami can work with most things. You could go Lucian Nami to try and kill it. I would prefer the Milio, but you could go Lucian Nami to just try and kill that Sivir in lane. Something I was also thinking about for that Zig specifically is a combo that we saw a lot during the prime of Pantheon jungle was Pantheon Zig specifically. You had near cross map damage coming on through. Pantheon damage would never be enough to quite kill somebody. If a Mega Inferno Bomb was on top of your head, there was more than enough damage. So I really, really like seeing that combo around like the tier 2 level of most regions. It didn't break into pros, but it was really nice to see. Skarner, creativity was a great tool from Souls in these past 2 games, especially. So happy to see that come on through. Definitely not the higher damage champion that I really think I'd want to see on a player like Souls, but I'm not mad.
He has
I can't be mad.
A lot of Skarner. Souls is one of the most versatile junglers in the game. We saw him play this very early aggressive style on Jarvan, then we saw him play this carry farm style on Lilia, and now he is playing frontline enabler on the Skarner. To your point about the Pantheon, by the way, there is another thing that Worm can pull out. Marth, king of the off-meta mid laners, has played a lot
I love Panth mid.
Has played a lot of Gangplank mid. It is not quite the same thing, but it kind of recreates it. It does. Gangplank ult on top of Ziggs ult.
It's very true. No. That's very true. It's like, you're like building up the same thing. I'm like, oh, Pantheon mid. I love coaches included. Like I've done some coaching on like lower level CLOL, but whatever. I love me a Pantheon mid player. They're so fun to play with because they have that roaming style locked down. Now, speaking of lock, he's on my screen. I have never casted this champion or watched a cast of this champion. I have no clue how he works, so I have no clue how he actually is supposed to find success. But I know if that he murders you in lane, he's gonna do it again and again and again. So that's all I think I need to know.
Let me ask you a question. Did you bring a shovel?
No.
Because this champion is bullshit.
I see.
I will give
gotta
you
some of that.
And any players in...
We need it. We get that rundown.
I will give you a very quick rundown. His Q, 3 daggers. He throws them. They move at a moderate projectile speed. They don't go particularly far. The daggers themselves do very, very little damage, but landing them is critical, because if you auto-attack an enemy, the auto-attack will deal more damage based on how many daggers are on them. If you have 3 daggers, that damage is escalated even further than if it was just 1 or 2. His W is a movement speed steroid. He deals a little bit of self-damage, but it also acts as a gray health mechanic, very, very similar to Tom Kench's. But unlike Tom Kench's, where you restore health if you leave combat, when you reactivate it, you gain all of the health back. It's actually more analogous to Rengar's healing mechanic. And you can cast it while you're crowd controlled, just not suppressed. His E is a dash, and then there is a blink. And then
blink and then dash. That part I know.
It's blink and then dash. His dash, it counts as an auto attack, so we can proc the 3 daggers with the ranged dash auto attack, and it resets on kill or assist. His ult is a projectile that you lob. It creates a slowing field and then creates an execute mechanic. Anyone that gets dropped below the health threshold is automatically executed, and it resets the execution timer on anyone else that was tagged by it. Then he has to pick the ult up, and it increases the execute threshold indefinitely for the rest of the game every time he does.
Seeing I think based on like that key term auto attack to kind of confirm that extra damage there. I see him into a Lux, I see him into a Mumu. I really don't know if I like a Malphite here, because yeah, I see Worms are lacking AD, and so they're going to be picking some AD top laner, rounding this out with Zehen. Swain's kind of pretty good, I feel like, into a comp from what Worms has got. Kog'Maw, yeah, high range, but Skarner's going to be in that, Nami's going to be in that, Zehen's going to be in that. Definitely looking for a little bit more tank in that case, so I think Malphite's still fulfilling that, but a Mumu's definitely going to be difficult to deal with. Lux is going to be difficult to deal with. Sivir's going to be difficult to deal with if you're running at them. V7 said, quote, hold on, we're looking at builds. Nice, W. For any update on the lock win rate, I know I don't keep too many eyes on the win rates of champions, especially new ones, because I think they're kind of false information, but now that we're starting to settle into it, jumping from a 57% win rate on the 27th of July, 55.7, my bad, down to a current day 48%. Locks in a very comfortable spot right now. Definitely in the find out phase, but I mean, there's still some good games. This champion still has to be strong. I'm seeing high win rates from builds. I'm seeing high win rates from skill orders. So obviously the prowess can be there. And Zehen, now that he's had some time to kind of mature into this meta, I do think he's very scary and very difficult to deal with. Very akin to older Aatrox, like auto-attacking, or even like pre-revive removal on the World Ender post-rework, where like he could just drain tank in and then do it again. Zehen has that ability. Yeah, that do it again part's definitely not as strong, but it should give you time. It should give a Locket of Kog'Maw time to kill. Nami Wave is going to be a good amount of traffic, but I think if there's a game that Misfits can win, it's this one. It's not a conventional draft that they've got here. I don't really like what they're running with, personally, but I can see how they can find success. I really do just worry about their team fighting damage, sustained damage specifically. I think having it solo to Sivir is not good.
Once again, sort of the common denominator for all the Misfits drafts, I think one of these things is not like the others, and for me, it's the Bard. I'm not quite sure what Bard is accomplishing here. Usually you want Bard either if your team is lacking engage and you want to create these long form playmaking abilities with the Tempered Fate, or if you have deep flank angles and you want to look for mystical journeys where you can deliver champions into the enemy backline. But Bard is not doing either of these things in this comp. I would have much more preferred, especially with this Sivir, a committed enchanter to help keep the Sivir alive from what should be a pretty healthy amount of dive from the Locks ahead.
Mm-hmm. I think if a big game here too that I want to, or big game plan that I want to see from Worm is just chaos. Just sheer chaos. Make the map yours. Very similar to what they did last game, just run away with it. I think if Locke is able to get in any good position and able to just kind of run with the Skarner into any invade, Mumu Lux are not great if they aren't landing their abilities, and I'm not gonna lie, Bandage Toss is very different than Vault Breaker, but I have to kind of keep that like earmarked in my mind here for how I met my ADC of like, you know, the skill shots weren't very consistent. This is a heat check right now. Are you gonna land the Bandage Tosses? And if you're gonna miss them, at least you got Curse of the Sad Mummy. But for that early game, for that first 6 levels where Locke is a monster to deal with,
yeah,
that's a very scary point in time.
I think the other advantage to running Chaos as Worm is that Sivir, for me, I'm not a big fan of Sivir Blind's first pick like this because she is best used as a counter pick. Sivir can really shut down entire enemy comps because if you end up with a sort of conventional front to back comp, especially, Sivir doesn't have to care about target selection. No matter who you hit, those boomerangs are going to reach your priority targets in the back. But that is not the comp that Worm is running here. The premier tank, of course, is Skarner, but Skarner isn't here to stand in front of his frontliners. Skarner is here to find picks, to create that chaos that you wanted, to enable backline access for Locke and Zahen. Hitting Skarner, if Worm is playing their comp scattered and crazy, which they should be, doesn't guarantee that you're going to be reflecting your boomerangs onto priority targets after the fact.
Yeah, not until we're in the thick of the fight. Not until we're like really going through and everybody's collapsing. That could give you a chance though as Misfits, because you mentioned scatter, and I'm going to mention scattering too before these fights. The big term that you really hear from the talking heads is tethering. The big thing that Worms need to focus on is tethering their fight, standing just outside of the range and being very cognizant of Tempered Fate being that kind of like X factor from Misfits to start to engage at any angle. If they can be cognizant of that, save their flashes, save their dashes for that, get out of there, then they'll be in a good spot to really tether, really give the Skarner time to mess around, really give Kog'Maw and Anglers a hen and angle to maybe just keep farming or whatever they're doing. I could see Kog'Maw just sitting mid and a dragon just farming away at 2 or 3 waves before they actually start a fight. I could see it's a hen doing the same thing and holding on to TP. I really want to see TP from Call the Meek in this game specifically as well. But I don't know. Big exhaust Nami game, by the way. Exhaust or heal from Nami is nigh required.
And there is one last thing that I really want to see. This is a very simple but kind of nuanced decision that needs to be found by How I Met My AD Carry on the side of Misfits, is once the lane phase is over, once you're dedicated, I'm a jungler ganking my laners, period, is out of the way. Perfect, because I want to rant.
Go.
He needs to be playing Peel. Despite the amount of crowd control on Misfits, there isn't great Peel. If Zahen and Locke are ulting into your backline, if they do find that access, Tempered Fate is too slow. Malphite ult is probably being used to engage fights. Bandage Toss is single target and too slow. He just needs to stand on top of the Sivir and the Lux in team fights. Let the Malphite do the engaging. Threaten that Curse of the Sad Mummy, because that Amumu ult is the best way he's going to keep enemy targets from jumping on top of his carries.
Second pause. Nice. Gotta wait for that spec to catch up.
Yeah.
That'll be fine. It's a big prove-it game for both teams. It's match point. Can Worm kind of keep their egos tempered, keep their wits about them, and being able to kind of pilot through a third game, because they haven't won a best of 5 against Misfits before. They've always crumbled in that situation here. They've in the best of 3 that they've already won before, they've been able to do it here. So just one more game, one best of 1 that they have to win out. But for Misfits, it's a long road ahead. It's a very, very intensive series if they're going to want to come back from this, and they have to kind of prove it from the start, and they have to be able to shake off all of the issues that came from the past and call them weak positioning like this. There is a way for Wallyford to kind of get on top of this on certain champions. Malphite isn't one of them, unfortunately. The mana costs are too high. You don't really have great AoE, and I know I see Grasp in their inventory, but Call the Meek, you see on loading screen, you see here, Conqueror just means that Wallyford can't go for like the standard anti-bully Malphite idea where you just like start E or W, and it's like, well, if you're going to trade, yeah, I'm just going to trade with you, go even, but I'm a Malphite, I don't care.
And now that we're 3 games into this series, I am worried that Walford got inside his own head a little bit. Call the Meek is arguably the strongest top laner in the league, arguably the strongest top laner, at least that remains, but we saw Walford game 1 pick Ornn, game 2 pick Tom Kench, game 3 pick Malphite. Maybe he just decided that he just couldn't play against this guy and has put himself on tank duty, and I think that is part of the problem, because in his fear of losing the lane, he's guaranteed that he's going to lose the lane.
Yeah, it's the crown approach, but your laners aren't 2017 Samsung.
Yeah. It's the crown approach, but you can't play Malzahar at the top lane.
Yeah, but you can't pick Malzahar 5 games in a row. It's literally just flash ult fake every fight. Yeah. There's a little more going on, especially top lane. Regardless, you could even see there though, Call the Meek completely mortal. very often making mistakes around these towers, trying to push their advantages to the very limits, which is good, and you like to see that from aggressive top laners, but that can always end out wrong, and that like big difference between them will be how do they play around these towers. And
we
God,
see an
man.
incredibly early roam from Skizzy Barnes.
Run!
Burns out the flash from Marth. Do they keep going? The stun does connect, but he already got the dash. He's just going to try to walk over him. How my carry is down here. Bandage toss, no more flash. That is going to be first blood going over to how my carry. What an aggressive turn of events. Souls is already up here as well. Does Walliford have what it takes to live? He just gets knocked away. Flash, he's walking down river, looking for his help. Skizzy Barnes is all the way in the top lane as the support at 3 minutes in. How my carry here. It's a flash of bonanza. Kolvamik goes down, going over to the bind on Saka Senior maximum range. Misfits have something to prove, and they're proving it here.
Yeah, they're not down and out yet. They still want to fight, and I do love that that flash coming in from Wolford. That's always something you'll see top laners or just anyone on these side lane plays mess up, is not flashing towards your teammates, not trying to cut down on the roam time instead of going back to the tower. So that awareness from them proves that Wolford still has the eye to look for a win. And that's going to give them just this little bit of an advantage. It's not big, and you're definitely seeing the Civ are probably going to fall behind once they have the confirmation that Amumu is, completely in Narnia, and the Bards in completely Narnia as well. But as of right now, look at the positioning for Sivir. Look at the inventory for Sivir. They're accepting this. Volcats understands that this is the way we win. Well, we haven't been able to strong side, top side very well with 2 people. What if we just make it 3? What if we just had a Bard? And it's working so far. You have to transition this into more. Locke has a way to come back into games, but it's not as easy. It's very realistic for you to shut down a champion like this just after 2 deaths.
And look at this. Kolvamik, as he basically never does, did not take the conventional summoner teleport, relying on that roll quest. Look at this wave that is about to crash. Greedy.
Souls has to soak this wave. You can't farm here as a Skarner. You have to give up both crabs. You have to soak this wave. You can't stop it. If Souls has E, they should run into this lane right now and hold the wave.
Soak that wave. Don't back Souls.
It's just a mistake. This is a big blunder here in the top side right now. And really the caveat that you have as Worm is like, well, their 80 carry is getting zoned off from XP at this moment. But so is your jungler, so is Kolvamik. So
Kolvamik already lost like a good chunk of that wave.
It's just it happens. And welcome to Herald. We said it earlier. Welcome to Herald. People make mistakes like this. It's okay. And our whole goal is to learn here. And a big thing to kind of focus on in the bot side, which we haven't been seeing a whole lot of, is how this Nami Kog'Maw is going to interact. The lane specifically from Sivir Bard should not be that strong. And I don't know if V7 doesn't quite understand exactly how their champion needs to work, but on top of that, they've got the knowledge that the moves in the run of the bot side too, so they're going to be playing a little passive. Calico.
Oh, we already see the bad shots landing over on Calico. Does she have the flash? She does. She uses it to get out. Now, Kog'Maw is just going to deal some damage on the way out. Just a good cheeky flash burn.
Just a free one. It seemed like they kind of knew something was going around bot side. They didn't have the exact positioning, so I'm not going to get mad at all, but losing flash like that's kind of unfortunate. Regardless, still playing aggressive with this Nami Kog'Maw. The big thing is every time Kog'Maw lands the slow, you just start going. You all in. You kind of treat him like a Lucian, but it's slow and it's not as flashy and it doesn't do as much damage, and it's not as automatic winning. You don't have call, but it's like a Lucian Nami. It's the same thing effectively. But right now they're a little kind of apprehensive to making a big mistake, and Marth.
He goes deep, but he gets exhausted immediately. I don't think there's going to be any damage to return, but there is no mana on Sokka. Not enough to finish off this kill.
Either mid laners got mana at this moment, so they're both just going to reset. Pretend that fight didn't happen. We went for an exhaust burn from Sokka, which means Marth is going to have nothing really slowing them down for level 6. Kolvamik wants to dive top. Continuing the theme from last game, Souls is in that top quadrant. They're farming away on how I met my AC's camps, so it's really scary.
They're going to find each other
though at the Wolves, and look at where Lux is. This could be disastrous here for Souls, and might have gotten the call that, hey, Lux is resetting, I'm going to get away, and they're just buying time now.
Souls wisely decides that it's not worth it. He kites it away. He tries to see if he can get anything, but ultimately he just walks away. Still got the Gromp for his troubles.
Yeah, still got the Gromp. Actually, I think also picked up the Wolves too, at least the big one. Skizzy back to mid lane, and effect is felt just a little bit. It's Bard, man. Just
And after this is the stutter step. After enough of these balance changes have come through, I do think Locke has fallen into a bit of the playstyle loop. Ooh, nice chunk of damage. The playstyle loop that assassins, that's the word I'm looking for, are supposed to fall into, which is huge burst, strong roaming potential, snowballs really heavily, but in lane, struggles a little bit against these ranged matchups. And I think that is the idea behind the aggressive roams from Skizzy, beyond just being Bard and able to look for these.
Souls.
He wants to shut the assassin down. Oh, we see the full all-in! Souls is not here in time! Meanwhile, we see a full-on engage from Marth going on to Sokka. The execute does land. Souls tried to drag Walford into the turn, but doesn't quite make it. The camp going away from mid lane indicates that Sokka also survives. That's another kill. Walford is finding his stride.
For sure.
And Misfits are starting up the dragon, winning on all sides of the map.
Yeah, now it's a good spot for Misfits, and the scaling not quite in the cards here for the side of Worm. It's not impossible for them to scale into this game. But I think a big thing you mentioned is like in that assassin playstyle. When you think of like the assassin playstyle of like going for side lane plays, you think of your Talon, you think of your Katarina, you think of a lot of other champions, but Locke isn't like that. Locke is your Silas, dropping farm consistently just to kind of open in a random lane, be there for skirmishes while just kind of spending resources that could be on the map to gain kills. And I mean, when you're trying to play honest like Marth is, you're not winning in your lane trades, it's just never going to work.
Look at that trade that Walford just dealt. He is getting to that point, even with just the Bramble Vest, where he takes out just a little too much armor for the Zahen to consistently deal with. Yeah, he's just gonna get waddled down. He goes for one more though.
One more auto.
It's 1-1.
Baby. So close. Just needed to realize that. Just a little earlier. It's okay though. Call the Meek is getting one back, especially on how the lane's been going. They're happy to have that. You can see the wave positioning definitely benefiting Walford, though. They're gonna have TP back, and Calico kind of getting the read that the Bard is not the map, trying to go forward, trying to find some kill and to call onto Lolcats, but look at the farm, look at the positioning. This is a very good game coming in from Lolcats.
Yeah, this is Sivir gaming at its finest, as non-interactive as you can pray it will be. I am not typically a fan of Essence Reaver on Sivir because I think you sacrifice a lot of damage for a lot of wave clear. Good bind, good return damage there. But in this case, it makes a lot of sense. Oh, we see just a full all-in from Marth, burning the flash from Sokka. Marth is feeling himself just a little too much as Sokka gets the return combo down onto him.
Yeah, there's no closure. No closure to pick that up. No closure for Marth to pick up a kill there at all. It's so far away from the executes, it feels like, and you're just out of damage. You're out of time. I think we've kind of gotten past that phase where Locke is really OP. And we can definitively say the Locke doesn't work.
See, gang over here from Souls. Great Tempered Fate delays the Skarner. The ult does not quite land, just a little bit short. That was incredible Tempered Fate from Skizzy Barnes. You have to believe that if Skarner is able to charge in there with the slow from the tidal wave, he was absolutely going to fight something. He has the passive active. He's just trying to pop it. Now Walford needs to run because he's not going to win the ensuing fight.
But the revive lets Call the Meek just go back to farming like nothing happened. And they still have ultimate too. So this is a very scary situation. Walford did see how much damage they had with the Unstoppable Force.
He gets pulled, he gets dashed onto there, uses the Unstoppable Force, but the ult gets used, that heal should be enough, one more auto will do it!
My good god. And the Banish Toss just not quite finding it. On the bot side, here comes Call the Meek, starting to be really scary in the Zahen. Yeah. That is a champion you can rely on to try and bridge you into these later game situations. And you're also looking bot side. Kog'Maw's not in a bad spot, all things considered. Just even with the laner in a 1v2, like typically we'd be really mad about it, but I'm not really expecting a Oh my god!
We see a magical journey! The Goon Squad is here! They want Marth! The second Banish Toss does land! And that is another kill going over to Sokka Sr. This is not how you want Worm's mid lane to go, but if you are a Misfits fan and you want this series to extend, We see Walliford call the meek
here.
Well, he was up Schitt's Creek without a paddle.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, he's a little lost on that one, I guess. Just overextending. I get it though. You're trying to push your advantage as much as possible, but you're not recognizing how important it is for you to live in that moment. How important it is just for you to, hey, I don't really need this plate. They don't go anywhere anymore. You don't need them now. You'll get them eventually. So I do think you should reset. Because the difference between you having this plate and not is quite literally that tier 1 boost.
Oh, Solstice is here. Right now. We already see Marth haven't come back to lane. Solstice is going to push him straight in. That is 3 daggers landed. The dash has already been used, but he's going to get pulled through. Impale. This should be a kill, but the Temple Fate's going to buy some time. No flash onto Lolcats, so...
Superhero Bard.
Skizzy Bards is here.
No!
The 1-for-1. I said I don't know what Bard's role in this comp is. I stand corrected. Bard's role is to do it all.
It's just to do it all. Oh my, Lolcats getting aggressive with it.
He's looking. Skizzy Bards has already made the trip back here. Tidal Wave gets used, but not too much effect, just to burn the barrier.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's such a phenomenal roam, and then it's kind of capped off with that, unfortunately, from Lolcats. But regardless, the play worked mid lane. Look at Lock Farm, 58 now, 12 minutes, just in a struggling situation. If that kill got off, if they were able to pick that up, Marth would definitely maybe not be in the game, but be a threat again. Be something that they could try and play around. But now it's like you've got to silver spoon something into Marth's mouth, kind of like the Gerber baby feed, man, just to be able to get some amount of gold here. And really, you got to start looking around playing around Call the Meek. You got to look around playing around V7 here at this moment, and you just kind of have to abandon your lock, which is going to feel terrible. It's going to feel awful. You can't play around this champion whatsoever.
We see how made carry. Unstoppable Force gets used. Banish Toss. He's not even going to get a chance to move. Meanwhile, we do see that Worm understands that they've overloaded Misfits topside. I'm going to use this to take up the second dragon of the game, evening out dragons to 1-1 at the 13-minute mark.
It is just a complete reversal of what we were seeing earlier from Misfits. They've kind of corrected. They've course corrected. They're on the right path. They're feeling comfortable. They're feeling like they're able to open themselves up, and it's flipping how they play. They're playing around this Malphite. They're playing around the Bard roams. They're playing around Amumu, and it's Sokka being the superstar here right now, winning in isolation, winning through ganks as well, and continuing that pressure into more. I wish for a little bit more farm, but I can't have everything in the world. You know, it's quite difficult to do that.
And this is why I liked the Essence Reaver rush. I said I typically don't like it on Silver, but this situation makes a lot of sense, because now that you have the Essence Reaver, exactly, you can actually just be left alone the whole rest of the game. I don't think Kog'Maw Nami is going to hard shove you out of lane. Your primary form of engage is going to be the Tidal Wave, which just gets spell shielded. With the Essence Reaver, you never have to leave again, which means Bard can leave always.
Yeah, Bard can always go around and really kind of disrupt the middle ground that we're still feeling right now. Yes, there's an advantage for Misfits when you're looking at these lane fights, but any kind of situation created with souls is going to be big.
We see a fight going down over here. He does get the 2-man ult! The ult from Lux does pick up Calico. She was looking for a roam, but instead she ended up feeding over another kill. V7 is down here. One more. I don't want to do it. Not quite enough. There is a kill picked up with Skizzy Barnes. He is here to do it all. He's here to save. He's here to gank. He's here to get some kills. We need another fight breaking out over on the top side. Walliford to Call the Meek just duking it out. Do they want to keep going? Does sidestep the dash. Does use the Unstoppable Force. The ult from Call the Meek gets used, but he flashes out so he doesn't get any healing. Call the Meek can no longer stay. A single Q will kill.
Yeah, single Q will kill. Call the Meek was looking for that pull to try and find an ultimate and really start trying to pop off, but there's just nothing there. There's not enough there. Nothing's working here for the Worms. They let the pressure get to them here for this game. And now they're in this situation where they needed to really be in the driver's seat. They want to have Marth running ahead. They want to have Souls farming like a monster like they did last game, but the champions are just not there to match the playstyle. And Calico's trying to outroam Skizzy, and yeah, they're here earlier, but the effect is just going to be so not matched whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. We see another magical journey being used by Bard. Nothing really going to be looked for here. Martha's just going to walk away. We do see both teams starting to square up in the river over the Herald. Skizzy Barnes looking teleport in from Waterford. Huge chunk of damage down to Califor. Teleport fake gets used. It catches Calico. Catches Meek. Another ult gets used for the Italian wave. Souls grabs 3. Masaka Senior's already found V7. The Silver Boomerangs are finding the access to the back line. Another magical journey. Skizzy Barnes is there to do it all.
Meek, 3 gram kilogram deliverance. Okay. Could be it.
It's so not enough, and the unstoppable force at the very end of the fight, just when you want to see Malphite use it. That is a 5-for-1 in favor of Misfits. They're going to pick up the Herald as well. That was such a good team fight.
It's so close, man. Like, you can see the workings of a comp there from Worms, but they're just too far out. They're out of the game. Mock is out of the game. Nami and Kog'Maw are out of the game. We're talking about it in chat too. Then Kog'Maw's just not going to have a great game regardless. It's a good answer into like the isolation 1v1 against Sivir, but not at all the case. This was a 2v1 lane almost the entire time. Skizzy was showing back up, getting some effect, evening up the trades, putting Sivir in a good spot, and then leaving, and they couldn't break that situation. They couldn't break that tempo. They couldn't put the game in their own hands bot lane, and so they've just also fallen behind in a 1v2. So, or in a 2v1. So it's just kind of rough play from Worms. They got overzealous, but you have a game to spend like that. You're dealing with a premier pick from Soka here as well. You're dealing with what seems like complete comfort from Skizzy right now, and you kind of just have to write this one off and move along, kind of look past it. Okay, we're into game 4. Okay, we're kind of starting to look a little deeper into the champion pools. Maybe go back to some of that creativity. Maybe go back to some of that craziness. Because I feel like Souls in the first couple games was having career games, and putting them on Skarner, yeah, you're mentioning they're great on it. I don't know. I mean, when I'm seeing a player who's very creative like Souls and is doing great things with damage, I'm thinking of a Lee Sin. Maybe they don't have proficiency on the champion, but I'm thinking of a champion like a Lee Sin
Xin Zhao
to be able to push
is
games
something
forward.
he's played a lot of
as well, and they're just not on that, and so it feels like their options are limited, and that's by limiting Worm's options.
I don't think Worm is out of this game just yet, but I do think they need... It's a reversal of the previous game, what I was saying. They have to kind of give up these early objectives, you know. That Herald... Oh, we see potentially some gold going back over as Waterford is being caught here. He has a 250 gold shutdown. He does have the unstoppable force to try to escape with. There it gets used. Tempered Fate to cover his escape. A lot of resources burned, but no kill found. Meanwhile, the bottom lane is going down to that Herald that was secured earlier. Second Dragon was also picked up a moment ago as Sokka Senior is disconnected. Maybe this is what's going on. Worm knows that Sokka's the secret sauce, and they're just DDoSing him.
They got your IP, buddy. One too many job listings answered, and you're gonna have to convince me. You're gonna have to convince me otherwise that we're not going to do a game 4 right now. So. Regardless of the DCs, it's been really good here from Soka. So, and even look at the play. Look how much they committed onto this Malphite to make it work. They committed almost everything they could have, all of their tempo, to be able to try and push for a lead, and they're losing in every other lane. They're not farming mid. Kog'Maw's walking around in river for some reason. Soul's getting checked on Raptors. They're losing all of their bot turrets. They're losing all the waves going bot lane, and Zehen is running back to base because they missed a bot.
And in the draft, we talked a little bit about how what is Misfits comp supposed to look like? What happens if you get dove, etc., etc. But I think the scariest player to get fed on Misfits comp. Oh, we see another engage going down over here. Souls is going to try to catch, but he's just short of catching Lolcats. Flash gets burned. Hamad Mahidi Carry is now going to be the target. We see him get pulled back by Call of the Meek. Does he have enough? He does use Curse of the Sad Nami. The Silver Orb was already used for the movement speed. There's a lot of damage being turned over, and that damage is being turned over. Yeah. The passive has been procced by Call of the Meek. He can no longer just be killed here. Sokka has a lot of health. Big shutdown, but it does look like Call of the Meek should be covered by his team. Good couple of kills picked up. Good gold moving back over. Still a 5,000 gold lead by Misfits, but it is something if you're Worm.
It's evening up a little bit. It's a little bit of work being done to kind of get yourselves back in the game. Specifically continuing to give kills over to Call the Meek. Zehen is a champion that can run through fights. It is definitely something you can do. And TLT, I need a build on what the hell I'm supposed to do with Lock, because I'm looking it up and it is saying 75% win rate across 1,800 games with Lich Bane Rush, but I don't know. Maybe there's something else going on. Regardless, I think it's just because the champion's behind that he sucks right now. Like, it's position of the game that this build sucks, and the champion just sucks from behind.
But as I was saying earlier, I don't think it's over for Worm just yet, because you do have angles to find access to the backline. The Zahen is by no means weak, and Lux is, very immobile. I talked about the peeling options. Skizzy Barnes' Tempered Fates have been immaculate, so I wasn't really factoring in just how effective he would be on this champion. But really, you just want to find a good pick on the Lux, and then you can fight from then on. Kolvamik just wants to smack him under the turret. I'm not sure that's how you pick out the Lux. Oh no, is he gonna die? He's gonna get all burned out. The flash. Misaki just get pulled. Kolvamik's doing his best here. There's a lot of damage, but he gets bound under the turret one more time. He does find the kill. Triumph gives him the health. I was doubting him every second of this exchange, but eventually he found that that's a huge shutdown going over his way.
It was a massive shutdown going on over towards the Zahen again, and it's these little missteps that are starting to claw him back. It's 3K now. That's a tenable gold lead. Souls, though, still showing up.
He gets bound up against the turret. He's already used his escape. Does he have the flash? He does not. You have to believe he's just going to get whittled down here. Does the kill go over to Lolcast? That's who you want it to go to. I think they're trying to donate the kill, and eventually it does.
Souls just needs to calm down. Breathe for a second. The entirety of Worms needs to breathe, because they are overplaying their
Tidal
hands.
Wave does get used. That should cover Calico's escape. Meanwhile, Walford is here. He's just gonna ult. Yep, just gonna straight ult the Nami under the turret. And it may look like a bit of a silly ult, but you get a lot of priority mid. We're seeing pings over onto the Baron from this, because Souls is also still dead.
They've done their work. It's 5 seconds, though. I don't know if they have the burst on this that they would like. And if the Malphite TP's away, they might just be trying to get this ahead TP. But this is relatively slow. The Skarner's coming on through, though. It's starting to speed up a little bit. They're burning more damage. They're realizing we've got to start burning our luck spells. We've got to start doing a whole lot. Soul's run up in the area. 4K, 3K.
It should be theirs. It'll be close, though. He doesn't know.
He didn't have E. It was on like a second cooldown. He used it to get back. It was down. Couldn't go for the steal.
Yeah, but he probably wouldn't have got there fast enough if he hadn't used it. It's a catch-22. It was a good heads-up play by Misfits. Like, at first, the teleport ult from Malphite looked very ambitious on a half-health Nami that was already out of the fight, but it secured that mid-lane priority. Souls was already dead. Transition to Baron, just a great macro play. Now Worm has moved into Misfits jungle on this bot side. They want to try to secure this dragon. A huge ult from Lux. Tenders through everyone. Skizzy Barnes gets a pick up onto Calico. Sokka Senior is very low, though. Marth has found him. Is this going to be a final kill returned over to Marth? But he is just running him down. The kill goes over to Sokka, trying to return over into the fight. It is an all-around Misfits win. The Rez does go through to call the make, but he's just going to get burned down. Double kill to Sokka Senior.
That's just when you're so ahead. It's so easy when you're just so ahead on a Lux like this.
Yeah.
Not to take away credit from the fight win, all credit to the fight win, but it's just so easy. Everything's landing. They're in these chokes. You're dealing with the Lux. You're dealing with the Namumu in these situations. What can you do? What can you do? Nothing's gonna work, man. Nothing's gonna happen. You have to be able to fight in those open areas. You have to be finding these picks beforehand. You have to be catching them off guard before. You can't walk into their situations that they want you to be in. You have to really just fight on your own terms, and your own terms are not in 5v5 right now. You have to kind of go for picks, and they're just not doing that, which is hard to see.
And to be fair, this is a mistake that I think both teams have made throughout the series. It's just Worm's turn to make this mistake. Not fighting where you're strong, not fighting when you're strong. As I said earlier, if you're Worm in this game, you have to give up some of these neutral objectives, especially the ones that don't matter. And Soul Point is rough, but Soul Point doesn't matter as much as Soul. And the only thing worse giving up than 3 dragons is 3 dragons and 5 kills. And that's what it turned into.
Yeah, that's just snowballing out of control right now. They're not as fast though as Misfits are not as fast that they're snowballing as oh V7 is just gonna get picked out there. It might be dead. Temper Fate missed. They're looking to find to make something work. Bubble Land, okay. Kidnapped, Skizzy.
Huge, unstoppable force. Walford does pick up the kill onto Calico. We see Hammer AD carry going on to Souls. He goes down. V7 is the last man standing. Cole the Meek does have access into the back line, but I mean, what are you going to do against this full machine of a team? Walliford is the lowest target, and that's not who you want to go into. It does look like Cole the Meek is making the decision instead to cut the wave. Probably the best thing that he can do in this situation, otherwise you might have been looking at an end angle. Cutting that wave might have actually just saved the game there for Worm.
It gives them just a couple extra minutes, I guess, at this moment. It's 7K. You got up to about 3,000. It's down to 7K. Baron has done the damage, has done the work though. Towers are down. You're in an uncomfortable spot. You're on the backhand too. You can keep farming up, but there's only so much farming you can do. And I'm really like you're at this point too as the Cogma where you're just stuck. You're just stuck. You're stuck on 2.5 items. You're trying to farm as best as you can, but it's going over to other people. You can't leave the base because you need a babysitter. And so you're just waiting for gold to feed into you, and you're looking at the enemy carry who's just like in heaven right now. Everything's working for them. You're looking at the Lux who's just comfortably farming from range. You're looking at the Bard who's able to make it your life hell as well. It's just hard, man, to look at like your insurance policy as Worms and be comfortable with them.
I am a Kog'Maw lover. I think this champion is stronger than people give it credit for, but I also think his build can be a little tricky because if you build items in the wrong order, you leave a lot of damage on the table. In my opinion, V7 has built items in the wrong order. You knew they were double tank. I think your first item should have been Bork instead of the Rageblade. Go Rageblade second and then have Hurricane. But instead, you went Rageblade first, then Hurricane. These two items together barely deal damage, especially against tank. And you're going Terminus third. Without this Bork, you're not really punching through this Amumu Malphite the way you want to on this champion.
Yeah, you can't cut through him anymore. Even when you get your Kog'Maw super fed, then the Malphite's just going to have enough time to ult on you, and that's his job. That's all he's got to do. Press ult on you. Lux will follow up with a final spark. It'll burst you down, so can't play anymore as Kog'Maw. He's a non-factor. Luck can't really dive. Shadow Flame Lichbane is great when ahead, not when behind, so welcome to behind Lock Gaming. We literally haven't been seeing him do anything but farm on side and die, so we're in this killing time, Cyanic. We're just trying to wait. We know Misfits has it. We're just waiting for them to not throw it. We're waiting them to get all their ducks in an order, all the stuff that they believe that they need to win, and it's taken a couple extra seconds. It's okay. I got no problem with it. I'm looking at block builds.
I was playing a game earlier this week. We were playing Kaisa Sona into Malphite Misfortune bottom. Malphite was the support, and he asked me, how do you play this matchup? We see a good flash getting burned. I have my AD carry. He said, how do you play this matchup? I said the most AD carry thing ever. And I thought about this because you were talking about Malphite ulting the Kog'Maw. I said, oh, you just flash the Malphite ult every time, and then they don't have a level 6. It's the most AD carry thing to say. That's the way you play the Malphite. Yeah.
Rip Gale Force. Just rip Gale Force for a game like this. This would be such a fun Gale Force game. You got Terminus, though. Kog'Maw's getting tankier. The Terminus buff came through like a patch or two ago. Yeah. And it is better on these kinds of champions over Jack Show. Yeah, it's better than Jack Show now on these champions at third item. So it's a very good buy. But look at this.
My AD carry has just been sneaking this thing. Yep, just picked it up. And then we see the Unstoppable Force getting pulled onto Calico yet again. Tempered Faith is being used onto Cole the Meek, keeping your strongest member out of the fight. Now he is just being mauled by the enemy team. He doesn't even get the passive out in time. Marv has finally found access to the backline, but he's just too weak. You said that we were delaying the inevitable, but even Kog'Maw free hitting inside the Skarner ult isn't going to cut it. You have to believe that this is the end of the game we are watching. Get ready for Game 4!
Ready for Game 4, ready for a series. Worms just not able to close it out. It's okay. It's not the end of the world for them. They'll still have another game. They can definitely lock back in and do their, maybe not do their homework, but get another chance to not mess up. They get side selection now too, which is very good. We've been seeing the Misfits be very comfortable here on this blue side, and yeah, it's good. Always good to see one more kill to kind of finish it out, the 5 spark, just to kind of put some salt in the wound here onto Kaliko. So, oh well, nice try here. Great game from Misfits though. It's the way the world works. It's the way the world turns. Sometimes you just mess up. You pick these assassins and you're not able to get off the ground.
A draft adaptation I am expecting to see is I do expect with side selection that Worm will take the blue side. I am expecting Misfits to ban the Jinx. This is the most contested AD carry between the two players. Is one of V7's most successful AD carries. I don't think they want to give that over to him on the blue side pick. I think that Worm is going to keep banning Caitlyn. I have not seen V7 play a lot of this, and I don't think they want to leave it open, nor do I think they want to first pick it.
Especially with the Sivir off the table now, I think we're going to see a couple different bans, but for now, just taking a breather. And we got a couple extra seconds. We can see V7 of Worms electing towards that blue side, so we'll get to see how Misfits kind of perform on that red side. It'll be something to keep your eyes on. Dude, and my friend is playing Valorant comp right now. He is 4-9, and I know he's watching stream, or I know one of them's watching stream. So, hello B. I hope you're having fun playing the new map and getting your shit pushed in.
Hopefully the side swap benefits him. You can come back from 4-9 if you're able to play the other side well enough.
Oh, and Kaliko came from in my head. I thought like Kalinka, like the song, the Russian old song. Oh, I'm such a nerd. I'm sorry.
That is a throwback.
That is
My
a throwback.
goodness.
Yeah, I was like a band kid, but like a jazz band kid. I saw like the marching band kids, and I'm like, I do not want to be like that. And yeah, I got out of it pretty quick. It's a joke. That's okay. Valprayers Rise Up stream that next. Fuck no, dude.
My sister was a drumline kid. Let me tell you, they are a different breed.
Dude, their snares, I don't like when snares are tuned that tight. I'm gonna be honest. I never liked our drumline at any of our schools. I was never a fan of them. They're all weird. Especially like the drum major at my high school. That guy was like, there's something. Not like mentally. He was built different to do that. Like it was like designed for that. Never seen him ever again anywhere. And I lived in a smaller town at the time, so I feel like drum majors just like materialize every year at high school. Like a new one just appears and just disappear.
But going back to this matchup a little bit between the two teams, we talked about how daunting it can be to be down 2-0 in a best-of-5 series, but it does start to change a little bit when you pick up that win on the back end. Obviously, you still have a task ahead of you because you still have Worm on match point. They just got to pick up this next one. But if Misfits pick up this next game, the momentum swings because being 2-0 doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is that last game, and you have the momentum in your favor. You won 2 in a row. Why not 3? So it does start to change the narrative, the mentality a little bit. The question is, do Misfits still feel potentially worried about being on match point, or are they already starting to feel that momentum shift? Do Worm get inside their own head, or do they just say, hey, we cooked a little too hard on that draft? First lock of the season here in Herald League was a little bit too spicy for us. Let's put Marth back on something more comfortable that he can pilot.
Hopefully. Moving on to slithering on through the draft. That's a new way to say it. Yeah. This is definitely the slowest or longest time in between games I've had here at Midwest. You guys are always like such a sprint to the end constantly, and it's definitely different. So it's a different environment, and so I do honestly like Worm kind of taking this extra second to breathe and decide what's going on, and kind of talking in chat a little bit. But it's a more casual atmosphere. It's okay. I do definitely want to see them back to the roots, like I mentioned earlier. Give themselves a comfortable jungler that they can really push any little bit of advantage on. Souls has had the faster clears, even on the Solar Champions, has had the more proactive openings every reset. They've had the better positioning at every game besides that Skarner game. And the reason they got behind that Skarner game was because they didn't have a mid laner to play around at all. So once we get themselves back, once we get our mid jungle kind of recentered back in here for Worm, they'll be in a good spot. For Misfits, I've been talking about Worm a lot, but for Misfits, I mean, it's do that again. Skizzy seems to be on fire in terms of roaming supports. Lolcat seems to be very comfortable farming. We just finally put them in an AD carry that can solo waves. And so now I look, okay, down the roster, who can sit and be comfortable in these like 1vx situations? And I think of like Ezreal. You think your Ezreals, your Jins, your Ziggs, your Zayas, and whatnot that can really thrive and give you a roaming support as well. So hopefully they can kind of opt into that. Maybe they just say, you know what, we don't want to do it again.
Lolcats has one of the better Jins in the server, and I think after a lot of the focus has been put towards the bot lane pools here, I do expect to see that one getting pinched. Echo is being targeted as sort of a, as we get into the draft, a target selection towards Sokka Senior. Ari, they're really addressing his mid lane pool here. Worm is saying, "Hey, this was clearly the problem with us last game. We're not going to have that problem repeat." As I mentioned earlier in this series as well, not being on red side, they are no longer locked into these heavy AD carry bans. The question is, do they ban the Caitlyn here, or do they want to leave that open? They do leave it open. If Misfits doesn't ban Jinx, and both of these AD carries are going to be left open, and I kind of have to feel like that's going to be a trade. You almost can't ban it now because that is what I would expect these teams to opt into, the Caitlyn Jinx swap.
It could be. If I see Caitlyn, I really want Karma with that champion. I do think on B1 here, if it's Worm, I don't know if I want to see Ezreal coming in specifically. They did get that GP.
Caitlyn is Lolcat's best champion by such a massive, massive margin, and they are giving this to her. Jinx is V7's best champion after such aggressive AD carry priority. We are in a situation now where, yep, there it is.
Yeah, they're just gonna opt into this swap here, and I think you just slam Karma here as Misfits. I don't think there's any other. I think Braum does fine too. Braum and Karma can kind of fulfill the same function. It's just their team fight goal is different, and Braum kind of creates a little bit more obvious team fight positioning. Karma kind of encourages you to poke a little bit more, set up trap lines. Braum says, "Yeah, we can just do whatever. Engage on us, sure. Engage on them, sure, I can do that. Trap line, sure. I really do want to see a trap line set up. I think I was complaining about on the stream earlier this week. I think it was on Thursday where I watched a Caitlyn in like a Masters League never set up a single trap line in like a 40-minute game. It hurt to watch. So hopefully you guys can prove it wrong here at Herald. Now Morgana, I don't know how I feel about Morgana with Jinx specifically. If you're great at this champion, I think she can be strong. But if you're one of those people that levels up W level 1, I think we do go to 5 if I see that.
I'm a Morgana hater. I hate Morgana
Valid.
more than I should. It's because I'm an AD carry main, and Morgana sort of gives up lane by default.
Yeah, and then we're picking the Fury with Morgana. Hello, Rakan is up. Why are we picking Nefiri with Morgana? Okay, I'm gonna crash up with this. Nefiri requires someone to be diving with her, and it's almost always the support's job to do that. Alistar, Nautilus, Poppy, Rakan can do it, and then you're looking at Braum. Okay, Rakan is kind of like the premier engage E support that we want to go. You can do Poppy too. It's not as great though. But when you're picking Morgana with Nefiri, now you're putting that priority straight onto every other role, and you can get Wukonged like this. And now you're dealing with a
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm really curious if Misfits have done their homework here, because there's two obvious bans, and they are Malzahar, Camille. There's the one. Camille. This one is easy because it's one of Cold the Meek's best champions. They have been banning around 2 all season, but one of Marv's best mid laners is Malzahar. And while this is not a dive champion, you can you can cover the problem by just ulting the enemy mid laner's Malzahar and creating the freest gank of Neferi's life. Camille is a dive champion and plays well with the Neferi. Removing these two champions makes Neferi, I agree with you, very hard to play.
I can see one way to make this Neferi work here, and like the pathway in my mind is if Misfits mid on 4, and you see the mid laner and it's a good matchup for Galio, specifically, you can lock in a Galio and you go Galio Olaf here on 4-5 as Worm, and you see the
they did do their
right
research.
So the homework is done, or they're listening. Hello, hi mom. But
I hope not. That's not a good taste.
that would be in terrible taste. But I kind of like look at the rosters like, okay, who counters Galio right now? And it's like, okay, Syndra's up, Cassio's up. And that's kind of it that we're going to deal with. And TF, also kind of one of those more fringe Galio, not counters, but managers that can kind of make it through lane phase pretty easily and has something to match it. But Galio Olaf, it does Camille Galio stuff, but it's not as much lockdown because you just kill them. You're with Neferi. You have Morgana to kind of supplement Ragnarok from Olaf. Well, it does the same thing. Yeah, but there are times where Olafs just stop autoing. They do it all the time. So Morgana can kind of assist in that and has someone else with them, has someone else to capitalize on that dive with Fury, and Galio can always just be there and say, I'm helping. Lissandra, definitely decent into a Galio here, so maybe my dreams are a little crushed. But I'm looking at mid lane here, and I do need to see something going in. I need to see like a Rise. I need to see an Orianna possibly could get away with it. Otherwise, I don't like the Worms comp's gonna be way too squishy. They don't pick something. Yeah, Syndra's not gonna be it in my eyes. I'm gonna be honest.
And for the first time, Cole Meek now has to blind his top lane. This is not his style. This is not what he's known for. But I do think we need to pick a tank here. Tank he does pick up.
Yeah.
It's not an enabling tank. Mundo is a carry with tank clothes on.
But it can get shut down so easily. Aatrox is still up right now if you're confident in that matchup.
And likewise,
Sho'gap is still around.
Misfits is kind of low on damage, so I do think they need to pick some kind of fighter for this top lane. I wouldn't mind Darius either, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Darius. Alawi works too. You don't have any way to remove Mundo's shield, not like you care. But that does kind of get into like team fights where you really do want your kind of beefcake in the front line to be able to stop that Mundo shield, so that way something can kind of affect him on the way through team fights. That's not going to be the case. It's going to be Wukong having to pop ult. It's going to be Lissandra having to press W. It's going to be Braum having to hit ultimate or him walking over Caitlyn traps. And all of those are good and dandy, but you want that to be already on the CC immune-free Mundo. On the passive already on, and Alawi can't do that. But she can win lane, she can push, she can be the threat on the side, and try and force this game into a 4v4. And as Misfits, if I'm looking at this 4v4, man, Syndra, Neferi, Morgana, Jinx versus the Caitlyn, Braum, Wukong, Lissandra, I'm taking that Misfits comp 10 times out of 10. You could put any team on it. You could put a Diamond team versus Team 1.
I agree.
And I think maybe I would still watch Doran run it down in top lane. So I would still favor Misfits in that case.
It's now my turn to be critical of the synergy on Worms comp because they've got good elements, but it doesn't all quite mesh together. It
doesn't mix.
Yeah, like the core of their comp to me, Morgana, Neferi, Syndra feels like a pick comp, but for one, it's a pick comp into Caitlyn, Braum, Wukong, Lissandra. Who are you picking here? Lissandra ults herself. If you try to dive the Wukong, you get ulted. Braum blocks everything. Only Caitlyn is viable, and Caitlyn should never, ever find herself caught in this situation, especially if Lolcats is as skilled on this champion as she has proven in the past. Jinx is a hyper carry, wants some kind of peel, wants some kind of frontline. Your frontliner is going to leave you high and dry. Mundo's just going to keep going and going and going. He's not going to stand in front of the Jinx and try to block damage. You don't have any real enchanter to help enable you. And Mundo, once again, has some elements. The Black Shield on Mundo can actually make him very annoying as he tries to run through the enemy team. But you said it best. If Mundo is here in a five-man fight, Alawi is probably off in a side lane, shoving down your inhib turret.
Mm-hmm. It is a big execution game here from Worm. So it's just it's difficult. I'm not a fan of the picture that's been painted in front of me. So hopefully someone else can kind of tell me how it's supposed to be interpreted, how it's they can show me exactly what I need to see, what I need to kind of watch for. Because right now it is very reliant on their kind of 2v2s and at most 3v3s going well. And I'm kind of like looking at the combinations. I look at the Lysandra Wukong Braum, I look at the Kate Braum Wukong, I look at the like Alawi Wukong in comparison to their like mirror matchups, and it's bleak, man. It's bleak for Worms. They need to. They're going to be relying on a mistake from Misfits here. They're going to be relying on someone to miss position. They're going to be relying on the Sandra to get too aggressive. They're going to be relying on the Alawi kind of struggling into the Mundo lane, which, I mean, all of those things can be true, but it's execution based. It's not matchup based.
In the raw isolated 1v1, Nefiri should have the better trade over Wukong. Nefiri doesn't need ult the way Wukong does. Nefiri's sustain damage is better than Wukong's is. But these are the junglers. This is not a raw isolated 1v1. And my bigger concern, and this is one of the reasons I don't like Morgana a lot of the time, especially in this meta, is you can leave Caitlyn to 1v2 Jinx Morgana all day long. Skizzy Barnes has already demonstrated that he is more than happy to aggressively roam and do it early, and Braum is a great champion to do it on.
Mm-hmm. Braum's a great roamer, especially with Wukong specifically. Yeah. That 2-man running through is very scary. Now, granted, Nefiri Morgana can be pretty scary. Braum should have a hard time landing Glacial Fissures, not Glacial Fissures, Winter's Bites onto Nefiri specifically. The dogs plus Black Shield should be able to help in that specific 2v2, but you don't see that very often. That's a dream scenario. That's something that's playing with their action figures right now. In an actual game here, in an actual set, really you're going to be seeing this Nefiri and Morgana meeting someone like the Lysandra, meeting someone like Lysandra Wukong instead. And in that case, it's really just about getting out. It's getting out as fast as possible at that moment. But I did mention I wanted a carry and I wanted something with a faster clear here, 4 souls, and I got my wish. It's just the monkey spot curled.
For what it's worth, I don't know if this changes your opinion at all. This is an old-time favorite of his. This is not something he's whipping out here now in a Game 4 situation because he's been pushed down as champion pool. He has played a lot of Nefiri, and he has played it to a lot of success.
It's good. Proficiency always helps on a champion like this. Clear speed can be pretty quick too. I've been seeing a lot of really fast clear speeds. You can see a lot of Nefiri's carry games. I just find like the mid-game transition from Wukong to be much, much stronger. Like you think of just how important Cyclone is as a button, how good it is, how much happiness, let's use that word, happiness it can spread to everybody, how easy it is, how obvious it is to play through fights and situations. I think it makes it really hard for me to favor them. So Misfits should be bringing this to 5. That's the expectation on the field, but that might be the expectation in their minds too. That might be in their heads. That might be something that really does slow them down at this moment. And hey, we're back to another game where possibly Worm are kind of just playing with house money. It looked like they were playing like that in the first 2 games. Maybe this is just the way they do it again. And unfortunately, we're starting with a DC from the jungler immediately into walking into the center of Fountain. That's never good.
Man, I will be so impressed if Misfits wins this 5v6. The DDoSer obviously being the 6th man on Worm's team. I think the thing that frustrates me a lot about Worm's comp is how easily they could have made this comp strong. Pick the Xin Zhao instead of the Nefiri, and pick the Caitlyn instead of the Jinx, and leave everything the same, and their comp would have been terrifying. Absolutely disgusting.
Mm-hmm. It's always a bunch of ifs and buts and hows and whens, It's unfortunately how these kind of games go. We're done with playing with our action figures. We've done it for 4 minutes here. It's time for the game to start. It's time to see. It's time to prove. Do Worms want to close this out 4 games? Want to have a convincing road into finals, or Misfits not done yet? They put themselves in a lot of comfortable situations. They've been given their best 80 carry matchup, both 80 carries on premieres, souls on a premier jungler, Walliford on their first R5 of the series as well. So a lot of big moments, a lot of pressure on a lot of these players.
Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure I'm a fan of the exhaust on Calico in this game, because your only real exhaust target is going to be the Wukong. I don't...
Alawi.
Yeah.
It's
How often
like
do you roam into
Ignite
Alawi?
better. You should be roaming to Alawi pretty consistently, I would say.
As the Morgana?
Yeah, you just in general. It's support, man. If Skizzy can leave Lolcats to 1v2, then you just have to tell V7, well, 07, buddy, good luck, man, and just match it, and hopefully it's top lane, because that's targeting do. Wukong would be pretty solid on. If you get into range, the Caitlyn is going to be good. Like, it's not a bad summoner spell specifically, but I do think I'd like Ignite better as well. I also think Heal would have been fine.
Yeah, that's my take. I think both of those would have been fine. We do see, as is the usual in Call the Meek series, a lot of aggressive trading over in the top lane. Once again, V7 is getting a good early shove over down here on bottom. I do expect that, having the double ranged matchup. The Morgana is not an aggressive support, but at these very, very early levels should be able to apply easy pressure against the Braum.
Mm-hmm. Should have an easier time. Just always. Like Calco does have that. It does have the pool, so the push will be somewhat better to get it down and get into the tower. But I think Lolcats is going to be happy with that, just with the way their HP bar is. They've lost both their pots already, and just matching HP is kind of unfortunate. You're spending mana on just checking bushes here for Lolcats too. Soka is trying their best to trade, and Marth seems to be hitting that fly in my room. Okay,
Taking a quick glance at the junglers, they did path towards opposite sides. Wukong pathing towards the top, the Fury pathing towards the bottom. I'm curious to see if Hamamade here is going to look for a fight here. Meek is chunked down to half health. Soul's definitely going to think about it, because it does look like the wave is bouncing back towards Worm's side, which could leave Lolcats and Skizzy exposed.
Exposed at the moment. Meek is kind of on that rebound. They traded into a bounce. Struggled in a bad
he's
save.
Looking
mid. Mid is getting
Souls
ganked,
is here to
but
cover.
Souls is in the area. They both have both how ADC's kind of got a read right now. Understanding like, hey, I didn't see the jungler on this clear. They didn't contest me for this top crab. I've got to be careful right now. So good heads up awareness to avoid a death. Now, pickaxe already picked up for Souls. Already starting that clear faster. That could be enough of an advantage for Neferi to really find a gank like, properly in mid or bot, or even an invade onto Raptors if they just decide to finish their top side and then just beeline it. But I don't know if they have the luxury of doing that this game.
Oh, no Black Shield this time around. This could be an aggressive look. The stun from the concussive blows does land. Barrier gets used in exchange. The exhaust gets used onto the Caitlyn. Now another stun falling over onto Calico. That is Flash being burned. Only Flash remaining on the V7. That is a great bind. Without that, Calico may have very well been about to become the first blood.
It's very close to doing that.
Hamamade
is back outside. Big camp skip here if this works. They've got to think something's up. This crash is coming. Mid's missing. Something's going on. Call's got to come from upstairs, guys. Don't contest this wave. Don't lose. Don't lose quite yet, Worm. We want to make this competitive. Now you're okay. And that's a big time waste coming in from How I Met My ADC too. Yeah, they cleared some camps, but they were slow. They were off tempo. Their reset slow. And so now at this moment, you are kind of gifting over in terms of like the terms and tempo, blah, blah, blah. Like it is kind of going over towards Souls. And now it's Souls' turn to make a play. Spend this time and aggression that they've been granted. Where do you spend it? Bot lane's mid lane's in a weird spot as well, and you're going to be really far away from that. Do you just solo Dragon when you don't have priority bot side? Do you try and just be the difference maker here in the bot lane? Looks like that's going to be the choice.
This is one of the problems that you highlighted with Neferi. You could tell Souls wanted to get a gank in there, but with what gank assist?
It's so difficult. You're just waiting on an errant bind to land. Hey, another problem, Morgana. We keep doing it. And look at this. You can prevent this now, man. This is so doable. This could
be an aggressive look. The bind does land. You have to believe that a kill's going to go over this time. Flash for flash. First blood going over the Souls, but Lolcats does pick up a kill in return. Lolcats is definitely going to go down, and that is a double kill going over the Souls.
As a big gift to Souls. Yeah, I know Jinx is like a great champion to get kills on. especially in a matchup like this, and a kill going over to Lolcats, like in terms of heads up. LOLMid has to get the call. Hey, we made a play bot side. Jungle could be top side. Just no respect at all, not in his bones.
He does get hit by the tether. That's just a lot of damage that he takes just immediately. Already slowed by it. Pops the ghost. Is there enough damage to follow up? They decide that there isn't, and they do leave him under the turret.
That's crazy. No ultimate for us. Just holding to that ghost. Definitely another game where you probably wanted TP could just flash there.
He showed top, so Souls goes for an invade, but he gets caught on it. The Lissandra is 6, he gets ulted. He burned his flash earlier. Black Shield might be enough to save him. Just the smallest of the belt. Flash, auto attack, Sokka Senior. Now he's stunned. The ult gets blocked by Skizzy Barnes. Another bind from Calico, but Lolcats has made the walk up here. Sokka Senior's taking a lot of damage, but Marth is low from the Braum passive. Gets stunned in the turret. One more auto to do it. One more auto will do it!
Why do we... I hate when junglers do this. I should be super excited for Souls, but every single time you see junglers do this, they get a play, they see jungler topside, like, his camps are free. No, look at the rest of the map. Your bot lane doesn't have priority. Morgana's on a reset. Your mid lane doesn't really have priority and doesn't have the ability to grant it. It's Lissandra. You physically cannot invade camps at that moment. You just have to give it. You have to breathe. You have to take a second, just accept that, okay, at this moment, the tempo gained, the advantage that I gained from the enemy jungler messing up is genuinely just going to be, I'm farming my camps faster. I got 2 kills. I need to spend that instead of trying to make a mistake.
Because when the enemy jungler shows top and doesn't get a kill, you're thrilled about that. And yet the side where the enemy jungler isn't is the side that ends up falling behind.
That's it. Like the win enough is the sheer fact that the enemy jungler didn't get a kill on the gank, and your top laner still has flash and didn't lose that much. It's still losing.
Well, we see a jump of Skizzy Barnes. The ult gets used. The Black Shield does not get used in time. It wears off. The stun can be procced, but you don't quite get into range. Good peeling from Calico at the end.
And here's an invade where it's going to work well. You see the Wukong on the red buff as well because they've got the information that our bot lane fought and has priority. We're seeing Souls on war, but Soka just has absolutely zero respect. Pop the tomb, trying to stay alive.
He's just standing there. The Jinx Rocket might be enough. One more auto from Marth is it. That is the communication at work. That Jinx Rocket was going through the second the play began. Great heads-up play from V7.
Still losing your entire bot side. Not great. You know, I'm at my AC kind of taking some notes from Soul. But, hey, kill granted. Going over to the Syndra relieves a lot of pressure there. Jinx, wishing she probably got that one, especially when it was just an auto attack difference between the death and not the death. But, you know, you take what you can get. You can't be picky. Bind's going to go wide. They really want this fight, but you have to take stock of what you've got. No barrier, no flash here. You're dealing with a barrier on Lolcats, and you don't have ultimate for V7, which is an ultimate you can use in combat in comparison to the ace in the hole.
Look at how I met my AD carry. The Black Shield gets used. The bind does land over onto Skizzy Barnes. The ult gets used, but unfortunately, Calico is just doing a great job of making this Morgana look good.
At least finding utility in the right moments, and a little bit of weird target selection coming in from how I met my ADC, kind of splitting off with everybody else, but it's fine. I definitely think you could just burst that Morgana there with no fear. Stay on top of her, go into the tower, take 2 tower shots, see what you can do, because Lolcats has ace in the hole. Regardless of what happens, you're going to be either going back to your camps to farm, which is safety for the jungler, or you're going to force a reset. Your bot lane keeps getting ahead. So it's just like one of those heads-up plays. Because now, look, even though Jinx has got 3 assists into 2 kills, she's going to be even with gold. Jinx has this Hex Optics finished up. It's a good enough item. It works. It does the job. It's a ton of damage on these rockets specifically. And that's going to be very scary to deal with here. You're already looking at this Jinx up an item now, actually, over Lolcats walking into next dragon here, more specifically. And Call the Meek is just not having a good time in this matchup. In fact, just a solo kill, not even, like, worth a breath. I'm going to be honest there. It's so well done from Walliford. It looked just like cyberbullying.
And then, unfortunately, this is kind of the matchup. There are very few matchups that Mundo struggles in, but Illaoi is at the top of that list. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. I felt like Walliford got inside his own head with those first 3 tank games that we saw him play, thinking that he just couldn't step up to Cole. Because Waterford is not a committed tank player. He's played his fair share of carries, and he's done it well. And now here he is on the reverse side of the matchup and making it look good.
Now the reverse side of the matchup, making it look really strong. And sometimes just winning in the obvious winning matchups is just what you need to do. Like that, you are doing your job. 100 farm on Mundo at 11 on allowed 11 minutes. Thunder Sky finished up now. You are an objective on this map. You are a Herald that has to get cleared out of a side lane. 100%. It's just like any other old split pusher could scatter from Mars.
Marth just not in range for that Lissandra ult to land.
Also, a big ball nowhere call out for V7 here. An item you could pick up on Jinx when you're in these kinds of games where you don't really know how you're going to auto attack easily. Storm Razor. You are effectively ghosted 24/7 with this item. I swear it's good. Trust me on this. It's the new age of Season 8, if you remember, where if you were an 80 carry, you had to build Storm Razor then. We're kind of just back to that right now. But Hex Optics, still more than good enough. Still a ton of damage here. Just can take a
we see a fight going over into this fight. We do see that A carry took the fight, but his mid laner is here to support him. Soul ends up getting the kill. Meanwhile, there's a fight breaking down the bottom. Look at has a small list of themselves. Flash auto from Morgana will collect the kill.
My God, V7 can't get a single kill, but it's okay. It's okay. They're still winning lane into that.
We're scaling. We're scaling is what he's saying.
We're scaling. There's no universe that Braum Caitlyn should be dying in that situation. They keep getting caught by too many binds. They keep getting caught out. They're not expecting the Morgana engager, and they're not expecting the flash, and it's starting to tip that gold bot lane over towards V7, and it's taking it away from the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is a champion that wants to be ahead. She has to be ahead. That's her job. She has to be half an item ahead based on the lead she's generating lane. Down 20 farm into a Jinx.
Especially against Jinx, because ask yourself what Caitlyn and Jinx do in lane. What makes them strong? Long range, powerful wave clear. It's the same thing, except Caitlyn on paper should be better at it. Slightly longer range, slightly better wave clear. Not quite as tied to the mana, can hit the whole wave with that Piltover Peacemaker. You want to use your early game superiority to transition to the mid game, because as the game goes longer, Jinx becomes the better champion, the better team fighter, better at AoE, better at killing tanks, better at just about everything. So the fact that you're behind at this point is not a good place to be in.
Mm-hmm. It's a bad place to be in, but your team's still up in tempo at the moment. They're still able to pick up the dragon. You've still got a Wukong to make plays right now, and the positioning not quite great from V7 Calico. Very dangerous, very close. They're riding on the edge, and they don't need to be.
And there is a bit of a wrench, in the worm cog machine, whatever. My words are failing me here. There's a problem for them that we haven't quite discussed yet, and it is the dragons. Just because of the way bot lane's resets have worked, Worm have not been able to contest either of these first 2 dragons, which is fine, but you're kind of in a position now where you have to fight for the 3rd dragon, and you can. Your comp is definitely strong enough. You just don't want to be in that position. So come 4 minutes as we see this fight break out. Calico does Black Shield the stun. No more end here. Now we see Souls getting backline access onto Lolcats. It's a lot of damage going on to here, but the Braum Shield does buy her quite a few extra minutes. Marv Silmans does get the ult down over onto Skizzy Barnes. It is so far a 1-for-1.
It's just a 1-for-1 at support for support, but Wallyford's in the area. If they can just drag around this Alawi and not lose a play here, they're going to get some gold over to this Mundo. I don't think How I Met Mighty C has lethal. Actually, they got red buff. They've definitely got lethal at this moment. It's going to be very scary for Cole. He does have ult.
There's ult, yeah. He does
just pop it. Just rip it anyway early. Force the ult for ult trade. Push the wave a little bit. You have to try plays like this because I don't think you get punished for it at this exact moment.
I think the big advantage to burning Cole the Meek's ult here is when Walford comes back to top, he's going to have an incredible lead. But Walford is back up here. Cole the Meek has not gone for the back. Now you definitely should go for it. There's the passive being burned. One more, and he's just going to get out. Now Cole the Meek is looking. He does flash after him, but there's Braum here as well. We talked about Skizzy Barnes' roam. Souls is here. He should be picking up this kill to Cole the Meek, and he does. Meanwhile, Cole the Meek does go down 1-for-1 in the extended trade. Just about everyone but the 80 carries has come up here, but they're just going to look at each other for the rest of this.
Big call out too. The Jinx is the one farming right now. Caitlyn tried to move, ended up losing a little bit of a wave on the way up there. Still kind of waffling around. Now just dropped an entire wave. Bot side's going to be pushing in 2 right now. So there's no one picking up that wave, and V7's completely safe. Unless Braum finds a Q and flashes. Doesn't have flash. V7 way too aggressive.
Enough.
Way too liberal with choppers.
The trap is enough. One more Q should do it, and that is a pickup on V7. Much needed gold influx into Lolcats.
Illegal to die there. That's an actual red card for V7 at that moment. You cannot be dying in moments like that. That is, you see the Braum, you see them start running down. You don't need to be hitting tower. I don't care if it's plate 1 of 5, where it's like 2 autos to get away. It's not your job to hit that right now. I said it earlier in the series, I'll say it again. The plates will still be there. You don't need them. You will scale eventually if you stay in the same game state. Look at your Nefiri, man. That's a 2-item Nefiri. That's accelerated right there. That's who you're playing around. It's not your job to be the hero as this Jinx. And being the hero is giving Misfits a way back into this game.
We are seeing the reverse of the issue that we had with Locke in the last game. With these assassins, sometimes it can be hard to find your advantages, and if you don't find an advantage early, you start to fall behind. It becomes so difficult for you to navigate fights, but the reverse is also true. 4 kills up on this Nefiri. It is very, very easy for Souls to pick up kills now. Just about everyone is a kill target for him, and if he finds access to Lolcats, she should be dying immediately.
Mm-hmm. Just needs to work your way there. Still, okay, even in kills, 2k gold is no real big deal. It's almost entirely onto this Nefiri, so wherever this Nefiri is, the gold lead exists for Worms, and if they aren't there, then there's no gold lead. You are behind, effectively, especially when you're looking at this Caitlyn. BF Sword is enough to be scared about. You saw how fast this Jinx died, even while popping some extra resistances to stay there, so Call to Meek, though, is getting into the point where they can start kind of breathing in this side lane.
Warmogs.
As long as they fully disconnect. Yeah, the Warmogs is really going to help with that. They've got enough wave clear thanks to that extra HP to stay alive, and a little bit of a mismatch going on in the lane assignments.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that.
Yeah, you look on over towards top lane right now, and that's because they're trying to prio something, which is no top objective, because Dragon's up in 20 seconds. Call to Meek has just forgotten that you have to read your items to understand how they work, man. Warmogs doesn't work automatically.
He does have the ult. He hasn't popped it yet, but the fight does break down into mid lane. Flash burn by Calico. Black Shield's going to deter any additional... Call to Meek has his ult. He's kind of psychopathic. He hasn't popped it yet.
It's a mistake entirely, because you don't have TP, so
he's trying to bait a tower dive here. Okay.
I guess, but
the Warmox is going, but at this point, you've given up a fair bit of plate gold to the Aoi. I don't think you need to give up.
Yeah, Alawi just collected a ton of plate gold, pushed the lane, has advantage so they can take Dragon now easily. You're not an objective there at all anymore.
Now I think Walliford is making the mistake, though. Yeah, you should back off. Take this third Dragon. I said you were in a position where you had to fight for the 3 dragons, but once again, it's a bit of a question mark, I think, that Worm couldn't find an angle to fight for this 3rd dragon, especially with how shoved under the turret the Mundo was. I guess that contributed to it, the other way around, but you have that timer, your team is strong, you should have been fighting for that dragon, in my opinion, because now you really have to fight for the next dragon.
Yeah, you are desperately going to have to do it there, and we need to see those shenanigans kind of come under control here from the Mundo, because look at full HP, pulling perfectly fine, even a level down. They're pushing great, but the second you start losing HP, you stop becoming that like worry on the side here. Oh no, Soka.
We see the bind goes down, but the ult goes through. It's a lot of damage. Flash out. Another pickup for Souls.
Just picked it up for free. It's more going on to this Nefiri. It's that signature pick here for Souls popping off. Yeah, getting delivered a lot of stuff, but that's kind of the job. V7, you also have to understand that it's not your job.
Oh, the Alpha Braum does land. He throws the Q onto the target. That's not Black Shielded. No flash on the Calico, but she's using the ult to buy time, and they don't want to eat it. They walk away.
Nefiri's closing mid, at least on the Raptors. They pinged it off. They know to look for the stuff.
Going over. How many,
the bind.
The bind does land. It's a lot of return damage. V7 respecting the potential damage from Lolcats here.
Yeah, Root on seconds definitely meaning that we're going to be in a little bit of a waiting room here for the Jinx damage, but it's okay. It's the point. You're waiting for this IE fully. You're waiting for 3 items. You're bought into this style. Once it's done here, then Worms are ready to go. You're seeing it's close. You're seeing Calico's doing great with this Morgana, proving us kind of wrong, making us kind of look at it differently and understand exactly how success is coming. But for now, you're still looking at the 3-minute dragon as a ticking time bomb that you have to answer. You're looking at the 2-0 Alawi that's been unabated in bot side, still kind of farming away, still being scary. You're looking at the Lissandra, while yes, super easy to kill. Frozen Tomb doesn't care. You are stunned for 2 seconds. My job is done. It's the same thing as Malzahar, right? It does the same job. So it's a very big concern coming into that like 4th dragon team fight there.
Turret go down.
Yeah, I look at oh, I don't know if I like that TP at all. I think I hate that TP. I really hate that TP. Yeah, because now it's down. Now you don't have TP.
It won't. You won't have it for the dragon. I think it's a big thing.
That's bad. That's really bad. Ew. For what? Like 4 minions? Dude.
There are a few important item breakpoints as well that I think are kind of important to show out. We have the Seeker's Arm Guard onto Marth, making him not a great target for either Saka or Hamame AD carry. We see the Heartseeker being finished onto Mundo. He is now scaling. We see Walford getting gangbanged by the squad. They are all here. You just have to believe he's going to go down. V7 is on the board, finally. And Misfits are, they're picking this Baron. They're starting this Baron.
They've done this before.
This is a T1 Baron. This shouldn't be a good Baron, but if Worm doesn't suss it out, and I don't see a lot of movement towards it.
Ping's coming down. It's slow. It's so slow. They're going to be real slow to check this out, though. No blue trinket here for a couple seconds.
Now we see
7,500, 6K.
He's in the river.
Soul's in the area.
They know now.
Bouncer now.
Down to 4,000. 3,000. A great stun from Lolcat. She's already dead. Skissy Bomb's getting burned out. They do get the Baron, but at what cost? You already have 3 people down, 4 people down. Your last surviving Baron man is Sakasini's taking it to the base. It's not worth it.
Soul's a big hero alongside Marth there. 152 on that smite too, so a proper 50-50 claimed up by High Met my ADC. Happy to get that one, but you're seeing it's only on to Soka right now. It's only under the 1 member, and it's not really one of your premier split pushers. It's just going to be here to stall the mid push. Look top lane though. Worms are just back. This is the Worms that we saw win 1 and 2. They're comfortable, they're in their element, they understand their win cons, and they're finding the picks. They're being gifted it, honestly. Lolcats kind of not being very cognizant of exactly what's going on. They don't have the vision set up. That's the problem with T1 Baron specifically. That's why it works and sometimes it doesn't. The positioning has to be good. You have to have vision to understand exactly where you can stand because it's a nice edge play and the DPS is not there to rush a Baron at 22 minutes anymore. They made sure that's not the case. They made sure that you don't see those very often unless you've got a Vayne, unless you've got a Kaisa. And these champions are like Corki that demolish objectives. That's not here. This is a TP and a half to force.
This is the soul fight. This is the only thing Misfits really have going for them at this point in the game. They are down 7,000 gold. Walking. We already see Cole the Meek. He's on how am I carry. If you find the enemy jungler right before the soul, that's going to be a huge pick. Sakasini is trying here to cover, but Souls is down in. He does find the pick. V7 gets the kill. Now we already have Cole the Meek in the back line. He pops the ult. He is a tanky big boy. Play the raid boss music. He picks up that kill. Skizzy goes down. V7 is free hitting. He gets the kill onto Lolcats. Now it's only Walford back here. Too little, too late. You have to believe that this was a misplaced teleport. He's just going to get rooted down. The stun from Marth. Calico picks up the kill. A well-deserved kill for all the effort she has done, keeping V7 alive throughout this game. Forget the soul. I'm kind of wondering if this is an end angle. You have an accelerated 3-item Jinx. You tear through these turrets.
You can at least get this inhibitor very easily. They can send one on the... You can see on the map, they sent the Neferi to pick up this objective. They're going to look to try and pick up this tower. Temper... Just take some space, take a breather here. This is a very dangerous inhibitor. You can see exactly why. They're going to get close. Good bind plus scatter.
Oh, they're looking for it. We see the flash Hammer Maker. He just get the knock up on the Calico. But V7 is strong. He's just auto-attacking. He's trying to fake it. It works out. It works. But is there anything more? He dodges the ult, but just to walk back into the auto. Now V7 is excited. Decides there's no more left to do.
That's so close. If he just accepted that was like, I won with the clone, you know, don't try to go back in, just breathe. I think that would have been a highlight play right there, regardless of the result of the game. But unfortunately, not the case. The Jinx is fed, i.e. in the pocket. That's going to be an LDR, just in another reset here before this Baron coming up. The scaling has happened, and the priority from Call the Meek, we were kind of complaining about how they were positioning earlier on in this game. It works now. Now it does work because you finished your build. You've got Swifties, you've got those 2 max HP items, you're starting to stack your level 16 Mundo, for God's sakes. Like, you're doing your job to the point where Walford sees you in the bush and just isn't really looking, and it's a good thing that they weren't looking there with Marth in the area. But I think big ups to Souls, big ups to Marks to Marth to keep them in this game, and I really need to see how I met my ADC kind of recover a little bit. I don't mind Trinity Force when you're ahead on Wukong like this, but objectively you weren't ahead of your opponent.
It's one item Wukong to a 3-item Nefiri. This is rough. And
you can't do anything.
Another big item breakpoint to point out, Randuin's Omen on Call the Meek. The only viable champion that can kill him is Caitlyn, piloted by Lolcats, who hasn't even finished her Lord Doms yet. And now that I'm taking a closer look, I'm not seeing any healing cuts on the enemy team. This is a whole stack of problematic. Cole has weathered the storm. He is a true raid boss, as now Souls finds him at AD carry in the enemy team. Everyone finds him at AD carry in the river, and Souls picks up another one for the road.
Just caught out. Caught out. It's unfortunate. Now they're trying to send to Walford. Walford trying to waddle on away. I don't know if he can get that far.
He's going to try to do Alawi things, but I think he's just a little too far behind compared to the rest of the enemy team. That binding makes sure he doesn't get to do anything else. Call the Meek is now over on the bottom side. He's going to get CC locked. He does pop the ult. As soon as he gets out of here, he's just standing there. Look at how much health he's gotten back. There is no armor penetration. There is no healing cut. He decides that he is Alawis incarnate as he just walks at the enemy team with more health than he started.
That is just exactly what you need from Call of the Meek at that moment. Pulled 3, ideal top laner situation right there. Do need a temper, do need to make sure Frozen Tomb's on cooldown from Sokka, but if they can just make this play work, it could be pretty scary. And you're just buying time for your Mundo. Snapping to bot side, hey, look at that. Guess what?
This is how you split push.
Too. And now you just stay. Hit that inhibitor. Look, they sent 3, they sent 4. Now hit the inhibitor. Now they got that call.
Yep, and you've sent the other 4 back to the top side. Mundo doesn't have the ult. Now he is possible to kill, but at what cost? You've lost 1 inhibitor already. You're certainly losing another one on the other side of the map, and you have. Now the remaining team has pushed mid. Now, if you're Worm, you do want to be careful here because it is now a 4v5, even if critical cooldowns have been used. Back off. You don't want to give up your lead. You have pushed them into their base. 2 inhibitors gone. They are no longer in a position to fight for any objectives for the next 3 minutes. What objectives are up in the next 3 minutes? Baron coming up now. Dragon in a minute and a half. You have the map.
Yeah, it's a late reset here from Worms, but you've bought it. You look at the waves. They can't, typically at this moment, when you reset like this can get punished with just an immediate pull on Baron. It's 28 minutes. Everyone's got damage now. Not the case. Look at the waves. Look at the champions that are alive here. They can't do that. They won't be able to rush it in time. They won't be able to set up vision. They won't even be able to like try and pretend to fight. They're down 13,000 gold at this moment, and it's in everyone's pockets. Typically, we were talking about Soul all game. We were talking about the Jinx being kind of the secondary support on this team, and finally kind of coming alive now. Everybody's fed. This is a free Baron pickup right now, and I think like a big shame too is Walford just can't match the Mundo anymore.
No.
That's exactly why. We talked about, okay, it's a counter matchup. It's going to be really good. And this Alawi should be able to just run over the Mundo. What happens when the Mundo gets 2 items? What happens when we don't try and play with our Alawi too cleanly? And like really repeat gank this Mundo? It's just not going to happen. It's not. You're not going to be able to sustain a solo lead on an Alawi into Mundo. Mundo will eventually hit his breakpoint. It's kind of like the nature of this champion. So kind of a big blunder from how I met my ADC, to be honest, and from Sokka as well, not really finding any roams. 4 KP across 8, yeah, you've got half your team's KP, but I think that brings up another question of why is your KP 8 in a 30-minute game? Souls is found
we
Sokka,
see something.
Oh, yeah.
He takes Souls for a ride. He's just going to come out right on top of the Jinx traps. Jinx picks up that kill. Marth is by himself up here. This might be a rare mistake on his part in this game. The passives is stacked. Lolcats is going to pick this one up. That's a big shutdown. Meanwhile, somehow, Misfits have gotten access to the soul.
He's won this.
He's in the pit.
Before.
He wins these 50-50s. I have said it before, and I will say it again. You don't need objective setup if your jungler is just better.
Just better. How about my AC did hit the first 50-50 of the game. Did get that initial steal, so it's gone 1-1 so far, but Souls, just confidence returned. They're running over the rest of of Misfits right now. There's
I
nothing
have
left in the
a
tank.
story for you. How I Met My AD Carry is having Vietnam flashbacks of Souls. Because when they found each other earlier in the playoff series in their previous best of fives, they had an uncontested Baron, and Souls walked in with Udyr, smited it, and walked out.
Welcome back, though. It's a perfect steal. Walter.
And I'm not casting this fight because the reality is this is a goal difference being put down. Jinx is about to get excited. Only Lolcats is remaining. We see How I Met My AD Carry respawning. There are some low health bars, but he's about to become one of those. The Nexus is on the chopping block. Jules goes into the base. Can he get the last kill? Doesn't want it. They're going to finish this off. We have a winner!
Damn. We got a winner indeed for Worms. 3-1 as well, confidently getting that done at the end of the day. A little hiccup and a little bit of something that they can they have to work on here going into the finals next week. Because you guys have mentioned, too, a big difference between most tournaments in here is there's a full bracket reset, if I'm mistaken. So
Correct.
they've got to win twice. They've got to take this momentum and run with it. And if we see the Worms from this 1, 2, and 4, a competitive series is like the least of our worries. It might be a full barn burner. It might be a full 8-hour night that we'll have to live on through, but we'll have to wait for the case. It's an unfortunate situation for Misfits, just not able to quite meet up with the success that their comps needed to have, not able to quite establish their win cons at the right moment. We saw kind of blips of what they needed to do, especially in that game 3 against the Lock. They really kind of came out into their own. We saw exactly why they made it this far. We saw Skizzy get to be able to breathe for a second. We got to see Lolcats do well in a side lane. We got and in a left alone. We got to see How I Met My ADC really carry a game on a setup champion. So I think it's just unfortunate case. Especially Souls just running away with the game and so much thrown at Call to Meek and none of it working. Especially, we kept criticizing holding on to that maximum dosage, and every single gank it kept working out. We can't be mad. We can't be mad at it, right? It's so hard to be frustrated with it whatsoever because of the results. It's so hard to really talk about it. So it's just being on that bleeding edge allows you to play like this. And so it's a congratulations to Worms and what a job all done. But Misfits by no means had a terrible night. I think they did show up and did try, and I just think at every situation there was a point to muscle out in the early game. It really was just Worms getting the better of them.
Yeah, I agree. We are going to go ahead and pop into their channel. We're going to go move down and join them so we can do a quick interview. Hopefully they
I'm gonna be
don't
honest,
talk on top of each other.
You can do that. I've got work at 6 a.m. So
Yo, get out of here.
I'm gonna go to sleep. I will see you all later. Thank you for having me. Have
course.
a great interview.
And I've just popped into Discord with what looks like the whole Worms squad. Someone is missing. How you guys doing?
Yeah,
John was gone.
He's lost in the woods.
So, you guys are in the finals. Did you think that you were going to meet Cat's Curse in the finals? Do you think you've overperformed? Do you think you've underperformed and you should have made it through the winner's bracket? How does it feel?
Caster Curse definitely felt like the team we would see in the finals. That's what I was feeling pretty much since the end of the regular season where we had played all the teams.
Yep, same here.
Yep.
I want to ask, you guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you and Misfits have played each other more than any other two teams in all of Herald League, this split. This has felt like the closest it's come to an honest-to-goodness rivalry. Do you think that this win may have come down to just how much you've played against them and kind of learning what you need to do? Or was this just raw improvement on your part to be the better team today?
I didn't know that, but I will say drafting-wise, I felt like this was the team where not only did I know what we wanted to draft, I knew what they wanted to draft better than any of the other matches that we've had. So I did feel that's probably a result of what you just said. And also, we tend to draft very similar teams. The big difference being, I think, that Ion and ADC maybe play a little bit of the mages, and Lolcats doesn't seem to do that. But even in the ADC role, we're both Jinx Caitlyn mains, so very similar teams overall.
We were talking about that in the cast, how weird it was that game 4 we see the Jinx Caitlyn handshake as what are arguably each of your best champions being handed over. I would say it was a bit of a flex on your part in a good way to trade, your best AD carries and you get the best of her in the end.
As when we had them on red side and I saw they didn't ban out the Caitlyn or the Jinx, I considered banning the Caitlyn, but if I banned the Caitlyn, I thought they would ban the Jinx, and I really wanted to play Jinx. I feel like that's one of my strongest champions, and I feel like the comps that we have around Jinx are some of our stronger comps.
I would agree. But the second the ban's finished, before anyone had picked something, I said, "Oh, we're gonna see Jinx first picked here," and Caitlyn in response. Like it was just
we were saying that in Discord as well.
With Caster Curse over on the horizon, as I'm sure there is a bracket reset. So if you want to be the Herald League champions, you have to beat them not once but twice. Do you feel daunted by the task at all?
Two of the easiest series we'll have to play this entire split.
As long as we're not doing them back to back. I need a break. That's a lot of leave.
Oh yeah, we're not doing them back. If it's back to back, same night, we forfeit.
It is. I'm pretty sure there's a 1 week break.
Okay, cool.
It'll be fun. CLT's team, Caster Curse, just in general, Bird down the bot, like their whole team is great. I think it'll be a series for the ages.
I've got a theory. I've got an idea. Instead of a bracket reset, why don't we just do Fearless Best of 10?
Oh God.
Why don't you go fuck yourself?
I honestly rather all of those. I'm not gonna lie, Chief.
We could play League Classic instead.
I would only consider that if you were committed to solo casting that.
You think I'm not?
Never mind, I back off.
I did have another question for you. It is my opinion, I think a lot of people would share this, that your team has shown consistent and pretty stark improvement all throughout the playoff series. To say you were a dark horse coming into the playoff was an understatement, and as you've continued to play, you've gotten better and better. It's become a meme, but it's also a reality that these polls for the expected winner, you are expected to win almost never. This series was no different. Do you feel like you have the underdog power? Like, is that a buff for you guys, or are you starting to get a little pissed at it? As
we've talked about this a little bit, and I think first off, I do think a lot of the matches that we lost in the regular season came down to we were having trouble getting all 5 of us there for our game day.
Yep.
Our record as a 5-man team is very, very, very strong. And I do think people overlooked some of our victories in the regular season. We took out Misfits in the regular season.
Yeah.
Number 1 seed went down to us before the playoffs even. We were, I think, tied almost for 3rd seed. It was tiebreakers that put us at 4th seed. And it's just one of those things. We don't have any of the players that were popular enough to win the MVP votes. We weren't the number 1 seed. People overlooked us a little bit, and honestly, that has been to their detriment.
Yeah, I think at this point, no one could argue against that. To say that you would make it to the finals, I don't think anyone is surprised to hear that. But if you asked anyone who would have made it to the finals, almost everyone would have said Misfits and Caster Curse. Something that I've noticed is it's felt like in the past your wins were largely off of winning top side, weak bottom side, and if your bottom side, unfortunately, one way or the other bled out, then the games got hard. But if you just held on, then you would scale and you would play as that 5-man team into the late game. That is not what I saw in this series. In this series, I saw what looked like a 5-man unit firing on all cylinders. This was not Cole the Meek and Souls putting you guys on your back. We saw standout performances from all 5 of you. Calico, I could not talk up your Morgana enough. I hate that champion. I think she is worthless. And you made it look like it was impossible to kill V7 all game. Did you feel
thank you.
like this was really like a team effort, or do you think there were still individual standout performances?
I think it's been that way all season, though. We have rotated like who has been the carry.
agree.
And I mean, we're perfectly capable of playing weak side, and Vibes is perfectly capable, or Koldebeek is perfectly capable of playing a tank top and just kind of being patient. Martha is really good at popping off or playing the control mage. So I think that's one of the strengths of the team is you can't ban out everything that's good that we play. That's why I think it is hilarious that Zillion is permabanned because in Baron League, I hardly ever played it even when it was open. And it means they're -1 ban for the whole series, essentially. There are many other champions I think that people should be more concerned about. And someone that got banned tonight, like the Udyr, oh man. Souls has had huge games on the Udyr, and I'm shocked it hasn't been banned more. Yeah, I think it's the strength of the team. But also, like, I have a lot of practice personally playing weak side. So that is not a problem.
I think
I do want
the
to
growth
say
in our
real
team
quick.
has been more the drafting and the strategy aspect. We have champion
I agree with
notions as players, and it took a little bit for us to come together and figure out how to put those pieces together. But I don't think anyone's like gone from being an okay competitive player to a better competitive. This was a great team to start with. I just think we kind of figured out a couple draft strategies, and we've just been riding on it.
Well, we were the leftovers too that didn't have a team. So
That's very true. I had this team formed like a day or two before the deadline, just saying, "Hey, who wants to play?"
That was everything I wanted to ask, so I'll leave you with this. Is there anything you want to shout out, anything you want to mention, anything you want to bring up to the stream before we sign off?
I want to say something.
Oh,
I
we got
thought
two.
Skizzy's Bard was amazing. That was absolutely awful to play against. Great job. I wish I was better. I do play Bard, but not that well. So
Skizzy's Bard was
mad props. It's not the first time I've
omnipresent.
seen it. I know, and every single time I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna have PTSD from this champion.
I swear, I look over my shoulder, my co-caster is Skizzy's Bard.
So yeah, mad props. It was awful. Absolutely awful to play into.
I'll leave us with a simple message to casters. Enjoy all those MVP votes. Enjoy that all-star vote. You guys have all of that. Enjoy the second place finish.
We're coming for you.
You guys better not
yeah.
get 3-0'd after that.
Oh, nah. We
That
can't trust.
Well,
the DC was really unfortunate too. I mean, we lost a game in a previous series from me DCing, and it feels really bad.
yeah, I did acknowledge that in the cast as well. It's unfortunate. DCing in the team fight is the worst because you can't pause during a team fight.
Exactly, yeah.
It is what it is. But shots fired at Casticers. We are in for one banger of a final next week. For those of you who haven't been keeping track, that final will be Casticers versus If the Worm Wiggles. Casticers running through the upper bracket. If the Worm Wiggles making the miracle, at least what some people would call, maybe not to them, but some people call it the miracle dark horse run through the lower bracket. I am expecting an absolute slammer of a series. This is Cyanic Acid Halfling signing off. Good night.
See you.